Chapter 748. Xing Xiao was a man of strength and action. Mu Qiqi proposed to make jewelry with a GPS system, and Su Che was quickly ordered to deliver it to her. Mu Qiqi looked at the box and frowned. Why is there only one set? Although she did not tell Xing Bowen about this yesterday, she also had the idea of making it for Ren Yufei. Moreover, before going to bed last night, she had told Xiao Xiao about it. Feng Shanshan is in a hurry, so I'll give this set to you first. If every set is the same, it will easily arouse suspicion, so the other two sets are still being made, Su Che explained calmly. The engineering department has tried their best not to affect the human body too much, so Madam doesn't have to worry about safety. That's good. I'll send it to her at noon. Mu Qiqi replied with a smile. She did not notice that Su Che had mentioned that there were still two sets. A man like Xing Xiao was so protective. How could his woman not have one when others had one? She was just satisfied with that man's thoughtfulness. Everything had been arranged properly, and he had considered many details for her. Mu Qiqi put away the gift for Feng Shanshan's child and then received a call from Xing Bowen. It's already noon. Don't tell me you just woke up. Mu Qiqi teased. How could that be? I've been busy all morning and only managed to find the time. What did you want to ask me yesterday? Xing Bowen asked in a good mood. I don't want to say it now. You'll know when the time comes. Consider it my wedding gift to you. Then I'll thank you on behalf of Yufei. Mu Qiqi really could not stand the married Xing Bowen. He never forgot to show off his love, which gave people goosebumps. Therefore, she rolled her eyes and quickly hung up on Xing Bowen. Xing Bowen did not know how he had offended Mu Qiqi. Just as he was about to ask, Ren Yufei knocked on the door and came in. She said to him, President, there's a visitor. Xing Bowen looked up and followed Ren Yufei's voice. He saw Papa Hu and Hu ran behind her. The two of them were here to thank him. After all, Xing Bowen had saved the Hu family. I hope I didn't disturb third young master. Uncle, you're too polite. Xing Bowen smiled and gestured with his eyes for Ren Yufei to prepare tea for the guests. Seeing the sweet interaction between the two of them, Hu Ran had mixed feelings. She couldn't tell whether she was envious or jealous, or perhaps she also felt gratified. I came here today because I wanted to bring Xiao Ran here to thank you before she left. After all, the Xing family helped us at the critical moment. Moreover, the accounting of the shares has been completed. The lawyer will come and talk to you another day. Although you said that you don't need to do that, it's not my way of doing things. I don't want my benefactor to suffer losses. Xiao Ran, are you leaving? Xing Bowen noticed the key point in Papa Hu's words. The Hu Corporation is entering the cosmetics industry. There's no one else in the family, so of course, she has to shoulder her own responsibility. Papa Hu smiled. In 2 days, she'll fly to France. Everything went well. Xing Bowen reached out to Hu Ran. Hu Ran held it with a smile and nodded. It's said that French men are romantic and gentlemanly. I will definitely find a man who understands gentleness better than you. You're an unromantic blockhead. You really need a secretary to control you. Xing Bowen chuckled and nodded in agreement. You will definitely meet your true happiness. Take care. You too. The two of them smiled and completely let go of the past, especially Hu Ran. After understanding her feelings for Xing Bowen, she had expectations for true love. Seeing that Hu Ran could really let go, Xing Bowen felt very relaxed and gratified. After the father and daughter left, he held Ren Yufei in his arms and placed her on his legs. Ren Yufei was a little confused. They left just like that. I didn't even get to drink tea. I'm just very emotional. Xiao Ran has finally figured it out. I also hope that she can be happy. Ren Yufei hugged Xingbowen's neck, and there was a smile in her eyes. She definitely will. In the future, it's finally a world that belongs to the two of us. I don't have to worry about you wavering in your determination to be with me because of these external factors. Ren Yufei's heart immediately warmed up. I'm already married. I won't regret it. After Xingbowen heard this, he pressed Ren Yufei on the sofa and kissed her passionately. Ren Yufei felt a headache coming on. This man didn't care about the occasion at all. If someone came in and saw them, the company would be lively again. However, it was precisely because of this that she could feel Xingbowen's incomparably passionate feelings for her. In the evening, there was a light drizzle. Mu Qiqi took the jewelry box to the hospital and found that Feng Shanshan was napping. When Fifth Aunt went to prepare dinner for Feng Shanshan, she whispered to Mu Qiqi, "Madam, Miss Feng doesn't seem to be in a good mood today. She secretly cried a few times. I asked her why, but she refused to tell me. When she wakes up, you can ask her properly. A pregnant person can't have too much emotional fluctuations. This is not good for the child. In the future, she will definitely regret it." "Okay, Fifth Aunt, it's been hard on you." Mu Qiqi nodded. "If only she was as obedient as you." Fifth Aunt sighed as she left with the food box. Mu Qiqi looked at Feng Shanshan's back as she lay on her side and thought that the only thing that could make Feng Shanshan's emotions fluctuate so much was Captain Tang. Pregnant women were sensitive to begin with. She didn't know if it was because she couldn't contact Tang Yen that Feng Shanshan was so fragile. Mu Qiqi waited for about half an hour before Feng Shanshan woke up. However, her face was pale as if she was enduring great pain. "You're here. I haven't seen you for a day and you look so haggard. What happened?" Mu Qiqi helped her up and asked carefully. "The doctor told me that the child might not be able to be saved. I wanted to contact Tang Yen, but I couldn't. I thought I was very strong, but when something really happened, I could only cry secretly," Feng Shanshan explained. "The doctor said it's possible. No matter what, they will do their best. So, your worry is unnecessary." Mu Qiqi glared at her. "Captain Tang will be gone for about a week. It's only the second day now. How can you contact him? I understand how you feel now, but no matter how much you want to, you have to restrain yourself for the sake of the child. And you said you wouldn't let Captain Tang worry. Even ghosts would be afraid of you now." Feng Shanshan took a deep breath and looked at Mu Qiqi helplessly. Chapter 749. You have to know how much I envy you. Even if I want to have a child with Xingxiao now, he won't let me. After Mu Qiqi said that, she took out the jewelry box from her bag and handed it to Feng Shanshan. "What is it?" Feng Shanshan took it and opened it. Seeing that it was jewelry, she looked at Mu Qiqi in confusion. "Why did you give me this?" "There's a special device in this earring. There's a small locator. I was afraid that something would happen to you, so I asked Xiao Xiao to make this set. It won't affect you and the child. It's purely because I'm afraid of Qingbin's revenge." Feng Shanshan hugged the jewelry box, crying and laughing at the same time. Her emotions were very complicated. "Because you're also a woman, I definitely won't give up Tang Yen and marry you. Forget it. I still want my Xiao Xiao." Mu Qiqi looked at her disdainfully. "I remember that the professor is Captain Tang's uncle. Since you're pregnant and I have to go to school, should I inform them? At least, you can have more protection. The professor will be very happy. After I'm discharged, I'll tell them. It's too ostentatious to let them come to the hospital now," Feng Shanshan explained. "Actually, there's no need to worry. You're staying in the colorectal department now. They won't think that you're pregnant. Mu Chi-Chi smiled. Feng Shanshan took out the earrings from the jewelry box and put them on. On Mu Chi-Chi's side, she was also making the corresponding link. Captain Tang isn't back, so only I can see this system. For the time being, no matter where you go, I'll keep an eye on you. My entire family's life is in your hands. The two of them chatted for a while, and Feng Shanshan's face became much rosier because she was gradually letting go of the burden in her heart. Fifth aunt came back with the food and heaved a sigh of relief when she saw this. My wife is a happy person, right? Wherever she goes, she can make people feel relaxed. You eat. I'll go talk to the doctor. Mu Chi-Chi got up from the bed. Feng Shanshan nodded. She did not resist Mu Chi-Chi's concern. Mu Chi-Chi went to the obstetrics and gynecology department and found Feng Shanshan's attending doctor. The doctor roughly told her about Feng Shanshan's situation. Today, our doctor gave Miss Feng a more comprehensive physical examination and found that there's a possibility that she has uterine fibroids. Because of her pregnancy, the fibroids may grow, so she needs to be checked regularly. In the future, she'll need her husband to take care of her. Will it affect the fetus? How should I put it? There's a certain impact, but the current situation isn't much. If we pay attention to all aspects, the child can be delivered smoothly. When the time comes, we can also remove the uterine fibroids. As a medical student, Mu Chi-Chi knew the severity of the situation. Feng Shanshan herself knew that what hurt her was probably what the doctors said about needing her husband to take care of her. It was difficult for them to see each other every day. How could they take care of her? No matter how much she helped Feng Shanshan, there were many things that she could not do. No matter how careful Fifth Aunt was, she was still an outsider. It was impossible for her to replace Tang Yan's position in Feng Shanshan's heart. Therefore, she still wanted to tell Professor Tang about this. After all, he was Tang Yan's most important family member in the world. This way, Feng Shanshan could also feel the warmth of a family. Then that's it. I hope the doctor can take care of me. Thank you. Mu Chi-Chi thanked the doctor. After saying that, Mu Chi-Chi left the doctor's office. However, when she left the obstetrics and gynecology department, she met an acquaintance at the counter. It was Gu Xiling. The two of them saw each other, but they each had their own thoughts. There was no need to greet each other, so Mu Chi-Chi left the obstetrics and gynecology department. Gu Xiling took advantage of Xing Kai's absence to ask about the test tube. But why was Mu Chi-Chi here? Was she pregnant? Or did she have some gynecological disease? If that was the case, it would be good if she had cancer. Mu Chi-Chi did not want Gu Xiling to know about Feng Shanshan, so she did not go to the inpatient department to look for Feng Shanshan. She only called her. I saw Gu Xiling in the hospital just now. I don't want to be suspected and followed by her, so I won't come to look for you. Rest early and don't let your imagination run wild. Okay. Feng Shanshan nodded as she drank her soup. If you need anything, just tell Fifth Aunt. Also, I talked to the doctor just now. I think you should contact the professor now. They are Captain Tang's only family, and they will also be your family. What you need now is the warmth of a family. This is something I can't give you. I'll think about it myself. Mu Chi-Chi hummed in acknowledgement and hung up. She absolutely trusted Fifth Aunt, but taking care of her and taking care of Feng Shanshan were two different things. Feng Shanshan also hung up. She already understood what Mu Chi-Chi meant. Tang Yan was not around, so she had no spiritual sustenance. It was easy for her thoughts to run wild. If Tang Yan's family was by her side, she would feel very safe. But would the professor be happy? She was pregnant with Tang Yan's child. Feng Shanshan was very nervous, but after hesitating for 20 minutes, she still dialed Professor Tang's number. Shanshan. What's wrong? Professor, I'm in the hospital now. I'm pregnant with Tang Yan's child, Feng Shanshan said tentatively. Feng Shanshan said tentatively. She was afraid that the professor would have other thoughts and think that she was being too casual or something else. When the professor heard this, he immediately hung up. Feng Shanshan was stunned because she had thought of all kinds of possibilities in her mind, but she did not expect the professor to hang up directly. However, within a few seconds, the professor called again. His tone was very anxious. Shanshan, which hospital are you in? I brought your aunt over to see you. I was in a hurry to hang up just now and forgot to ask the hospital. Feng Shanshan's heart suddenly came back to life, so she quickly reported the department and ward she was in. Professor Tang acted as if his daughter-in-law had a child. He was so anxious that he even forgot to change his shoes and directly brought his wife to the hospital. He found Feng Shanshan in the anorectal ward. Why are you in this department? Chi-Chi said that it's safe this way, Feng Shanshan explained to the professor. Good child. Mrs. Tang sat down by Feng Shanshan's bed and held her hand without any grudge. Since you're pregnant, we won't stay in the hospital anymore. Aunt will take you home and take good care of you. Fifth aunt thought that the professor and Mrs. Tang were Feng Shanshan's family, so she advised her, Miss Feng, no matter what, you have to stay by your family's side. No matter what, your family won't hurt you. But Feng Shanshan told Professor Tang and Mrs. Tang what the doctor said. Chapter 750. You haven't told Tang Yan, have you? The professor guessed that if Tang Yan knew, he would definitely contact him immediately to bring Shanshan home. I only found out after he went on a business trip, Feng Shanshan explained. It's okay. It's the same when he comes back, Professor Tang said happily. Your aunt is packing your things now. You can stay at our house for the time being so that she can take care of your body. I thought, you wouldn't like the child being born without a proper reason. We only feel that Tang Yan is thankful that he has a descendant. How can we be picky? The professor's eyes were wet. Other than you, who else would be willing to give birth to that brat's child? When he comes back, I must teach him a good lesson. He won't always take on those dangerous jobs. I'll make him think more about you and the child. Feng Shanshan voluntarily left with the professor. She also paid Fifth Aunt a sum of money. However, Fifth Aunt did not accept it. Madam has already paid me. Miss Feng, you don't have to pay me anymore. I'll feel bad if you do this. Feng Shanshan had not been honest with others for too long, so she only knew how to use money in such a vulgar way. Fortunately, she was not short of money. However, Fifth Aunt did not accept it, so she did not force her. However, she was grateful to Fifth Aunt. This was from the bottom of her heart. Late that night, Gu Xiling returned home after her checkup. She sat at home in a daze because she still felt that Mu Chi-Chi was not sick, but more likely to be pregnant. Why did you go to the hospital? Xing Kai questioned Gu Xiling as soon as he returned home. What tricks do you want to play to humiliate me again? Didn't you want me to get pregnant as soon as possible? I have to understand my physical condition. Gu Xiling looked at Xing Kai with hatred. If you can't give birth to a child, I'll suffer too. Hearing Gu Xiling's mocking words, Xing Kai pressed Gu Xiling onto the bed and warned her sternly, don't mock me in front of me in the future. Otherwise, I don't know what I'll do to you. Mu Chi-Chi is pregnant. What do you want me to think? Gu Xiling mocked. Mu Chi-Chi is pregnant. Xing Kai gradually loosened his grip on Gu Xiling. His expression was a little complicated. She's still a student. How could eighth brother get her pregnant? However, if she's really pregnant, it might be a great opportunity to deal with eighth brother. Go to the hospital again tomorrow and figure this matter out. Is Mu-Chi-Chi really pregnant? I won't fall for your trick again. When the time comes, you'll blame it on me when you fail the mission, Gu Xiling said coldly. Xingkai, I'm not your chess piece. Do you think you have a choice? Xingkai pinched her chin hard and said, I'm going to take over Changrong Electronics soon. As the CEO's wife, you have to help your husband, right? Changrong is a cancer in the industry. Don't tell me you haven't heard of it. Godfather will naturally arrange everything. Also, when the house is settled, you will move out with me. Gu Xiling, I'm not asking for your opinion now. I'm just informing you. Gu Xiling looked at Xingkai with extreme hatred. In her heart, Xingkai would always be a pile of mud that could not be helped. Now that the so-called godfather was praising him so much, it must be because he still had some special value. Only Xingkai was still complacent. Of course, Gu Xiling couldn't help but want to mock Xingkai when she saw him like this. However, deep in her heart, she had always blamed everything on Mu-Chi-Chi. If Mu-Chi-Chi hadn't snatched Xing Xiao away back then, she wouldn't have been tortured like this. She felt that her marriage had been ruined by Mu-Chi-Chi and Xing Xiao. If Mu-Chi-Chi was really pregnant this time, she would definitely think of ways to let Mu-Chi-Chi have a taste of miscarriage and not being able to give birth. So, the next day, she went to the hospital again and asked about Mu-Chi-Chi from the obstetrics and gynecology department. The doctor was unwilling to reveal Mu-Chi-Chi's situation. After all, it involved other people's privacy. So, Gu Xiling spent a lot of money to ask the obstetrics and gynecology nurse. The nurse took the money and naturally told her the truth. Miss Mu is not pregnant, nor is she a patient. Then why did she come to the obstetrics and gynecology department? To see her friend. It's that Miss Feng who's pregnant, the nurse told her personally. When Gu Xiling heard this, she looked extremely disappointed. It wasn't Mu-Chi-Chi who was pregnant, but Feng Shanshan. The money was really not worth it. After returning home, Gu Xiling didn't say a word. Whenever Xingkai saw her putting on an act, he wanted to slap her. Even now, she was still putting on the airs of a young lady. How's the investigation? Mu-Chi-Chi isn't pregnant, and Mu-Chi-Chi isn't the one seeing the doctor, Gu Xiling answered as she took out something from her bag. Then who is it? Feng Shanshan. Xingkai also smiled when he heard Feng Shanshan's name. It's actually Feng Shanshan. That's good. I can give Qingbin a big gift. Gu Xiling didn't know that Xingkai and Qingbin had met in private, nor did she know about the complicated relationship between Feng Shanshan, Tang Yan, and Qingbin. She only saw a scheming look in Xingkai's eyes. Could it be that if Mu-Chi-Chi wasn't pregnant, he wouldn't even let Feng Shanshan off? You're really unscrupulous. That's why you have to be obedient, Xingkai warned Feng Shanshan. Feng Shanshan couldn't help but shiver. Mu-Chi-Chi knew that Feng Shanshan had gone to Professor Tang's house, so she was naturally much more at ease. At least, Tang Yan would be easier to accept such an arrangement. Of course, the two of them still didn't know that Xingkai had already told Qingbin about this. To Qingbin, grasping Tang Yan's weakness was equivalent to letting Tang Yan wait for death. However, now that Feng Shanshan had been taken away by Tang Yan's uncle, he could only put in some effort if he wanted to find an opportunity to attack her. Late at night, Mu-Chi-Chi called Feng Shanshan. She wanted to know if she was being properly taken care of at the professor's house. Feng Shanshan was staying in Tang Yan's room when he was young. She felt very safe, so she answered Mu-Chi-Chi, "There's no better arrangement than this." Smelling Tang Yan's scent and looking at Tang Yan's things, it was as if Tang Yan was by her side. This made her feel that she could rest peacefully. Perhaps the professor knew that she had this kind of mentality. Even though he knew that Tang Yan's room was very small, he still made some modifications and let Feng Shanshan stay there. Hearing Feng Shanshan's answer, Mu Qiqi finally felt relieved. Chapter 751. Got it. Why are you so naggy? Feng Shanshan said to Mu Qiqi in disdain. If you don't want me to nag, you have to remember it well, Mu Qiqi said patiently. She had worried a lot for this person and the child in her stomach. Feng Shanshan took a deep breath and looked like she had accepted her fate. I'll remember it. Mu Qiqi was satisfied with the answer and hung up. At that moment, Tang Yan's aunt entered Feng Shanshan's room with hot chicken soup. Child, drink it while it's hot. I've already removed the blisters for you. Don't worry, you won't get fat. Thank you, Auntie. Feng Shanshan quickly sat up and took the porcelain bowl from her aunt. Tang Yan has a hard life. He lost his parents when he was young. For the first 30 years, he was like a walking corpse. He didn't know who he was living for. It wasn't easy for him to get a girlfriend, but none of them treated him sincerely. Shanshan, you're the only one who doesn't care about anything and is willing to understand that kid. You don't know how much our family is grateful to you. As she spoke, Tang Yan's aunt started to wipe her tears. One could imagine how much she had worried for Tang Yan all these years. When your child is born in the future, just do what you want to do. We'll help you take care of the child. Thank you, Auntie, Feng Shanshan said as she hugged the warm chicken soup. What are you thanking me for? You and the child aren't very stable yet, so I won't disturb you anymore. You should rest early. His uncle and I have been keeping this room for Tang Yan. Every time he comes over, he stays here, so I think you'll feel more at ease living here. Feng Shanshan nodded. Her words of gratitude were overflowing. However, before she went to bed, she still habitually dialed Tang Yan's number. Although his phone was still turned off, at this moment, her heart was no longer as flustered as before. Instead, there was a hint of warmth. The next day, Mu Qiqi was still sleeping on the bed. Xing Xiao took the jewelry that he had just made and put it on her wrist. When Mu Qiqi opened her eyes, she tugged at the chain on her wrist in a daze. Then, she sat up and saw that the man was wearing a white shirt. So, she got off the bed barefooted and hugged his waist. You're done so soon. The other set is in the study, Xing Xiao replied calmly. It's not very exquisite because it's functional. I like the industrial style. Mu Qiqi shook the bracelet on her wrist. It was a pure black bracelet made of titanium steel. There were several unique geometric patterns hanging on it, each of which contained a great deal of meaning. By the way, when I went to the hospital to visit Feng Shanshan last night, I bumped into Gu Xiling. So, I plan to go to the hospital again today to check if this woman has asked about anything. After all, she's very curious about everything about us. Mu Qiqi was now more cautious than before. At that, Xing Xiao turned and pinched Mu Qiqi's chin. You're spending more and more time on other people. I'm not happy. Stingy, but I haven't missed you at all. Mu Qiqi comforted the man. When I went to the hospital yesterday, I bought you some medicine to prevent stomach pain. You didn't eat lunch yesterday and only drank coffee. Don't think that I don't know. The medicine is in your bag. I'll give it to Su Che later. Did I install a GPS on your bracelet, or did you install a surveillance camera in my office? Xing Xiao asked Mu Qiqi teasingly. The secretary is one of my people. You have to know that she will inform me of your every move through text messages. What's wrong? Xing Xiao let go of Mu Qiqi's chin and was satisfied. I'll get it myself. I don't need Su Che to do it. Muchichi knew that this trick would definitely work on him. Xing Xiao put on his coat and went to the study. He pulled Muchichi's bag and unzipped it. When he saw that there was really stomach medicine inside, he could not help but smile. He did not raise this little thing for nothing. She still knew how to dote on him. CEO Sheng was in a good mood. He was so happy throughout breakfast. It's not easy to have a weekend. When I come back from the hospital, I'll obediently go to Sonda class. Then, I'll accompany you for lunch. In the afternoon, I'll go to see Qian. I haven't contacted her for a long time. I don't know how she's doing. Got it. I'll ask Su Che to book a place. CEO Xing wanted to maintain his pride. Mama Xing heard their conversation and roughly knew what Muchichi was busy with recently. So, she suggested, Xiao Qi, if you don't think it's safe, bring your friend to our house. I can take care of her too. Mommy, there's no need. We'll all feel uncomfortable. I don't want you to be tired, Muchichi quickly answered obediently. It really takes courage to be pregnant when you're still a student. No matter what, if you need anything, just tell me. Muchichi knew that Mama Xing was being kind. But both she and Feng Shanshan would feel uncomfortable. After breakfast, she went to the hospital as promised and asked Feng Shanshan's attending doctor. The attending doctor thought for a while and recalled Gu Xiling. There was a Miss Gu who came to ask if you were pregnant. I didn't reveal it to her. You know, this is a patient's privacy. It's not convenient for me to reveal it. However, I don't know if she asked someone else, the doctor explained to her. According to Gu Xiling's personality, she would definitely ask someone else. Moreover, she had no way of knowing if she had already found out. She had clearly failed so many times, but she still did not know how to stop. She always held on to the grudge from the past and refused to let go. Muchichi was very helpless. Because she knew that Gu Xiling had always felt that she was the one who snatched Xing Xiao away. She was the one who snatched away the strongest man in Jianchuan. That was why Gu Xiling refused to let go of any opportunity to deal with them. However, if she found out that Feng Shanshan was pregnant, would there be serious consequences? She did not know what was going on with Xing Kai and Third Master Long, so she did not go back to the branch office to ask. With a trace of worry, Muchichi went to the mixed martial arts school. Even if she was anxious now, it would be useless. However, during lunch, she frequently fell into a daze, which made Xing Xiao quite dissatisfied. I just taught you a lesson this morning, and now you're being disobedient again. Xiao, what harm would it do if Xing Kai finds out that Feng Shanshan is pregnant? After Xing Xiao heard this, he put down his knife and fork and stared at Muchichi. After a while, he replied, according to the latest news, Xing Kai and Third Master Long should have buried the hatchet. If I were Xing Kai, I would still form an alliance with Third Master Long. Chapter 752. Muchichi had to inform Feng Shanshan of her worries over the phone, but Feng Shanshan laughed it off. I don't go out now, and I'm living in the military compound. Even if Qingbin wants to make a move on me, he has to find an opportunity. Feng Shanshan looked down at her abdomen and comforted Muchichi. Besides, you can locate me no matter where I go. What's there to be afraid of? No, I won't be at ease until Captain Tang returns. The bodyguards will report to the professor's house tonight. Muchichi insisted on being watertight. Even if you don't need it, the professor and his wife will. It's hard to guarantee that Qingbin won't find an opportunity to make a move on you and won't shift his target to someone else. Okay, I'll listen to you. Therefore, that night, the two young bodyguards reported to the professors downstairs on time. When Professor Tang saw this and heard Feng Shanshan's explanation, he smiled in relief. Xiao Qi is really loyal. It's your blessing to have a friend like her. I'm just afraid of causing you inconvenience. We all know about Qingbin's matter. There's nothing wrong with Xiao Qi being so cautious. Besides, she's not guarding at home, so there's nothing inconvenient about it. Professor Tang comforted Feng Shanshan. When Tang Yan comes back, ask him to quickly settle Qingbin's matter. Otherwise, we won't be able to rest assured if he threatens you all day. He also wants to settle it. However, Qingbin did not make a move and did not make any mistakes. As a police officer, he could not abuse law enforcement. Everything could only be decided after Tang Yan returned. Qingbin's men observed Professor Tang for an entire day. Not to mention making a move, they could not even see Feng Shanshan. In addition, Mu Qiqi had hired bodyguards. It was almost impossible for Qingbin to do anything before Tang Yan returned. Third Master Long noticed that Qingbin had been absent-minded the whole day, so he asked him, now that Tang Yan is a criminal police officer, he's surrounded by elite backbones at all times. His physical fitness and mind are also strong. In addition, he knows that you've been released from prison and is on guard everywhere. It's impossible for you to deal with him now. But Third Master, he's not a narcotics officer now, but he's still investigating the source of those things that appeared in Huangyao. Aren't you afraid? Qingbin asked Third Master Long, what am I afraid of? I'm a serious businessman now. Those messy things have nothing to do with me. I don't need to be afraid at all. On the other hand, you, Qingbin, can't bear to mess up big plans. If you don't have enough patience and can't wait until Tang Yan lets his guard down, then the prison door will open for you. Qingbin also understood this logic. However, Feng Shanshan was clearly Tang Yan's weakness. It was also a rare opportunity for him to take revenge on Tang Yan in the near future. Unfortunately, Feng Shanshan was surrounded by people who were not to be trifled with, and Mu Qiqi was the first to bear the brunt. No, it should be Xing Xiao, who was standing behind Mu Qiqi. This man was not inferior to Tang Yan at all. In fact, in terms of scheming, he was invincible. Third Master, I've suffered a lot in prison for so many years. I once swore that if I can't cripple Tang Yan with my own hands, then the rest of my life will be in vain. I'm not afraid to tell you that Tang Yan's woman is pregnant. I've been observing her for a few days. Tang Yan isn't in Jianchuan, so I plan to use his woman to attack him. You don't want someone to stand behind you with a knife all the time, do you? So, no matter what, I won't give up this opportunity. I also hope that you can fulfill my wish. Of course, if you don't want to get involved, it's fine. I just hope that you won't stand in the way. When Third Master Long recruited Qingbin, he knew that this person was not easy to control. He was a ticking time bomb. After Third Master Long heard this, he did not say anything. He only sighed faintly. If you fail, contact Uncle Chang. He can help you deal with the aftermath. Thank you, Third Master. After Qingbin finished speaking, he cupped his fists and bowed. This was considered giving Third Master enough face and respect, but he would still do it. It didn't matter if Feng Shanshan hid and did not come out, but wasn't she pregnant? She had to go for a prenatal checkup, right? He did not believe that he could not seize the slightest chance. But how could Mu Qiqi not understand what he understood? Feng Shanshan would definitely not choose the same hospital for her prenatal checkup. At most, it would be a little more troublesome. At night, Mu Qiqi followed her usual practice of talking to Feng Shanshan. She was stricter than an old maid. In 2 days, you'll be going for a prenatal checkup. I'll have to send more people. Am I pregnant with a national treasure? Feng Shanshan could not help but laugh. You're still laughing. It's my fault. If I hadn't gone to the doctor at that time, I might not have met Gu Xiling. Mu Chichi silently blamed herself for this matter. What's there to blame? If it weren't for you, I might have been tied up by Qingbin by now. Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes. Just rest well for 2 days. I promise you, I'll be at home and won't go anywhere. Mu Chichi was satisfied and hung up the phone. Behind her, Xing Xiao entered the door. His upper body was naked, and there were still sparkling water droplets hanging on it. When Mu Chichi saw this, her body began to heat up. They had clearly been together for several years, but she was still tempted by him. How useless. Tomorrow, Xing Kai will announce that he will be joining Changrong as the CEO, Xing Xiao told Mu Chichi as he wiped his hair. Mu Chichi naturally climbed onto the sofa and knelt behind Xing Xiao. She took his towel and wiped him. That Changrong, which has a very bad reputation and keeps pressuring its employees to commit suicide. What does he think? He needs to rise again. Su Che went to investigate. The Gu family has nothing to do with Changrong. This proves that there's someone behind him. What exactly is he doing this for? To catch up to you. Then it's impossible for him to do so in this lifetime, Mu Chichi said confidently. Mu Chichi said confidently. If he just wants to suppress Huang Yao, it'll be difficult. After all, third brother may look like a bronze, but he's a fool with a fool's luck. He's surrounded by kings. Now, other than unwillingness, the only thing that can support him is hatred. If he loses these goals, his life will lose half of its meaning. Xing Xiao combed his hair, hugged Mu Chichi's lazy waist, and put her in his arms. Mu Chichi leaned into Xing Xiao's arms and blinked at him. I still have to go out later. Ha! Chapter 753. Xing Xiao did not say anything. He simply got up and sat down on the bed. You really have a lot of people to worry about, he said slowly. Mu Chichi felt sour at those words. She took off her clothes, jumped onto the bed and hugged Xing Xiao. Xing Xiao was stunned. He looked down at the woman on top of him. Aren't you going out? I'm not going out. I'm suddenly sleepy. Xing Xiao pushed her hand away and snorted coldly. Lu Qianqian is waiting. She's so busy now. She wouldn't have time to wait for a little forensic doctor like me. I sent her a message and she said she'll see you another day. Mu Chichi explained with her eyes half closed. Xing Xiao was still unmoved. Aren't you going to care about her relationship with Lin Muven? Mu Chichi knew that he was still jealous. She did not say anything and simply crawled under the blanket. Xing Xiao suddenly took a deep breath. He lifted the blanket and grabbed the naughty little thing. Are you asking for a beating? Mu Chichi loved listening to Xing Xiao's angry and lustful voice the most. It made her whole body go numb and her brain feel so comfortable that it was completely out of control. You're ignoring me. Why do you care? Mu Chichi said vaguely. Xing Xiao grabbed her arm and pulled her to him. Who asked you to do that? Where did you learn it? I just want you to be happy. Mu Chichi blushed. She was a little shy at first, but soon regained her bashful look. You're my man. I love every part of your body. What's wrong? Xing Xiao scrunched up his face. I don't need you to please me. But, don't you want to? What Xing Xiao could not stand the most was Mu Chichi's expression right now. She was asking so seriously and her eyes were misty, making it impossible for him to refuse her. So, he turned around and regained his sovereignty. I won't be able to handle it if you go and look at something weird again, little one. Even if I look at something weird, it's only for you. With those words, a night of entanglement was inevitable. It was as if Xing Xiao could never have enough of this little one. They were already an old couple, but he was still so hungry. Of course, this thing still had some eyesight. It could see through his anger at a glance, and it also knew to come and coax him at the first instance. After verifying it in many ways, it was indeed not in vain. As for Lu Qianqian, she was going to talk about a collaboration that day, so she rejected Muqiqi. It was fair for each of them. Although she and Xiaoqi had not seen each other for a long time, they were like old friends and did not feel distant at all. She understood Muqiqi. She did not go out last night because she was held back by someone and could not move. Well, she was used to Muqiqi prioritizing her lover over her friends. This was the 5th day since Tang Yan left. Logically speaking, he should be returning within these 2 days. Feng Shanshan wanted to wait for him to come back before going for a prenatal checkup. However, if he didn't come back, what would happen if the baby in her stomach was delayed? Therefore, after much consideration, she discussed with the professor and decided to go to the hospital first to ensure the safety of the mother and child. In the morning when she was going to the hospital, Feng Shanshan called Muqiqi. She also applied for leave and sent more bodyguards to protect Feng Shanshan. When Qingbin saw this, he knew that his plan could not be carried out again. It was all because of Muqiqi's tricks. Who was this to her? Why did she have to protect her so well? Qingbin felt indignant just thinking about it. However, in the blink of an eye, Muqiqi had sent all the bodyguards to Feng Shanshan. In other words, the old couple at home were alone. It was not that he did not have a chance, so he changed his route. Although he might not be able to do anything to Feng Shanshan, he could still think of many ways to deal with this pair of old things. According to the observation of the people he sent, Professor Tang always drove to the branch office by himself. The route was also the same and had never changed. However, the traffic on that road was complicated, so there were not many places to start. On the other hand, Tang Yan's aunt always went out alone and did not like to drive, so she could be a target. However, he had underestimated Muqiqi's intelligence. After all, Muqiqi was a forensic doctor and had dealt with criminals of different levels. She would also make assumptions and think about what these criminals were thinking. Now that the entire family's attention was on Feng Shanshan, it would not be easy for Professor Tang and his wife to attract the attention of others. The chances of attacking them were much higher. Qingbin had this in mind, so he was at ease not far from the entrance of the courtyard to observe when Tang Yan's aunt went out. Not long after Feng Shanshan left, her aunt also went out with the information. She was used to taking a car because it was environmentally friendly. When they passed through the narrow alley, Qingbin signaled to the helper in the car to drive over and kidnap her into the car. And the helper did so. However, it was at this moment that a white car suddenly blocked the path of the small truck and picked up Tang Yan's aunt. When Qingbin saw this, he immediately retreated. Because he knew that he was also being targeted. It was Muqiqi again. Not only that, but when Qingbin left, he also received a note from an adult. The handwriting on it was beautiful, and it was obvious that it was written by a woman. It was so difficult to get out of prison, and as soon as you got out of prison, you had the idea of hitting a pregnant woman. Do you want to go back immediately? Qingbin was so angry that he tore the note to shreds. Because he suddenly understood that he was too stupid. He had come to alert the enemy before everything was ready. This was clearly the behavior of a reckless man. How could he have schemed against Tang Yan? He was too impulsive and overconfident. Or perhaps, he had become stupid after being in prison. That was why he made such a stupid decision. Of course, there was also Shinkai's instigation and encouragement. It turned out that Third Master's words were all right. Hiding was his way out. Thinking of this, Qingbin immediately retreated. Feng Shanshan was only pregnant, and she still had to give birth. Even if the child was safely born, it would take time to raise it into an adult. There were so many opportunities in the future. Why was he so obsessed? Of course, if he wanted to fight to the death, then killing Feng Shanshan alone would be enough to make Tang Yan wish he was dead. Therefore, he would always pay attention and monitor Feng Shanshan. Because of Mu Qiqi's protection, Feng Shanshan went through the prenatal checkup smoothly. When the doctor got the results, he said that there were some small problems, but he only asked her to have regular prenatal checkup. It would not have much of an impact. Mu Qiqi watched her finish the ultrasound and was relieved. I think Captain Tang should be back in the next 2 days. When that time comes, I'll remove your bodyguards. Did you see Qingbin today? Feng Shanshan asked her. Chapter 754. Qingbin returned empty-handed. After returning to his residence, he kept drinking. But as long as he closed his eyes, he could remember how he had suffered in prison all these years, and how his former brothers were sent to prison by Tang Yan. He would never forget it for a moment. At that moment, the television news was broadcasting the news of Xingkai's inauguration as Changrong's chairman. Qingbin put down the bottle and went to Third Master Long's manor. Third Master, I'm sorry. Third Master Long knew that he wanted to rely on Xingkai and did not force him. A good bird chooses a tree to nest in. I won't blame you. You can go. Why did Qingbin choose Xingkai? It was because Xingkai had a deep grudge against the Xing family, which was why he was closer to his destination. Third Master Long only wanted to protect himself, so even if Xingkai was an idiot, he was willing to follow him. In the afternoon, the news of Xingkai's inauguration was still rolling. The secretary received Xing Zhao's order and entered the office to wait for instructions. Prepare a gift and send it to Changrong. Yes, President, the secretary said respectfully. Then, do you have any requests for gifts? I don't have any requests. Just give it to me, Xing Zhao said without looking up. He was just being polite. Actually, today, the people around Xingkai kept congratulating him, but what really caught his attention was the gift from Zhongting. What was that supposed to mean? A reminder. Don't forget, the future is long. Gu Xiling was quite obedient today. No matter how unwilling she was, Xingkai was the CEO of a company, and she was the CEO's wife. Changrong's reputation used to be very bad. Perhaps if the two of them worked hard, they could change the situation. However, she had no idea how naive she was, because she did not understand the meaning of Changrong's existence. In the evening, Qingbin appeared at Changrong's banquet. Xingkai saw Qingbin appear at the door and asked someone to bring him into the VIP room. A moment later, he left the guest and entered the VIP room. Before Qingbin could speak, he said, "You failed, right? You know. With Mu Qiqi and Xing Zhao around, it'll be hard for you to succeed. If you really want revenge, the first thing you have to do is to get rid of these two people. I happen to lack a bodyguard. How about it? Are you interested? I can take up the position at any time," Qingbin replied. "Welcome to my team." Xingkai laughed. "Of course, I have to package you well. At the very least, I'm the CEO of Changrong. I can't bring a person with a criminal record with me. But you don't have to worry about that. Go home and wait for my call." Qingbin stood up from the sofa. Before he left, he asked Xingkai hesitantly, "Will you really help me take revenge? I'm not like Third Master Long. My goal is very clear. I want to deal with the Xing family. I've helped you clear away the Xing family. Whether it's Feng Shanshan or Tang Yan, they've all lost their protection. Do you think it'll be easy for you to do it? Does this count as help?" Qingbin was silent. He turned around and left the hotel's VIP room. After Qingbin left, Xingkai called Jinbo, "Godfather, I've found a fighter. Everything is ready. Kai, in order to celebrate you taking over Changrong, Godfather wants to give you a gift." Xingkai did not know what gift Jinbo was talking about. He only felt anticipation from the bottom of his heart. "Then I'll thank you in advance, Godfather." What else could it be that could make Xingkai happy? It must be related to the Xing family. Late at night, the cool breeze continued. Mu Qiqi personally delivered the other set of jewelry to Xing Bowen to express her sincerity. There's a GPS device inside. It's also for third sister-in-law's safety. After all, Qingbin was watching Feng Shanshan, and Xingkai was watching the Xing family. None of them were easy to deal with. "I really didn't expect you to give me such a gift. It really surprised me." Xing Bowen put away the box in surprise. He was afraid that Mu Qiqi would take it back if he was a second late. Things are secondary. The most important thing is that you take good care of her. Mu Qiqi rolled her eyes at Xing Bowen. "All right, I can't be out for too long. That person at home has a bad temper recently. I'm afraid of being taught a lesson. Go. It's time for me to go home and present the treasure." Xing Bowen hugged the box and was so happy that he couldn't control himself. Since it was made by Zhongting, it must be something good. In the middle of the night, Tang Yan returned home after completing his mission. However, because it was 3:00 in the morning, he did not make much noise. His phone was out of battery and he could not turn it on. When he entered the house, he realized a serious problem. Why was Feng Shanshan not at home again? The last time he left without saying goodbye, Feng Shanshan was angry and wanted to break up with him. But this time, he had told Feng Shanshan in advance. Why was she still not at home? Didn't he tell her to stay at home obediently? After taking a shower, Tang Yan came out of the bathroom and found that the furniture in the house was covered in a layer of dust. It was obvious that she had been gone for more than a day or two. Then, Tang Yan turned on his phone and found that Feng Shanshan would send him a text message on time every day. "Are you home? When are you going home? Call me immediately when you're home. I'm staying at my uncle's house." "Uncle?" Tang Yan reacted for a moment. It should be his uncle without a doubt. Perhaps something had happened in the past few days when he was not around. That was why Feng Shanshan was staying at the professor's house. Since she was safe, there was no need for him to be in a hurry. So, he sat down on the sofa, took out the medicine box, and applied medicine on himself. This time, the injury was not too serious. It was just a gunshot in the lower abdomen. The bullet had been taken out, and now it was time to change the medicine. Lying on the bed that still had Feng Shanshan's fragrance, Tang Yan's emotions suddenly calmed down. However, it seemed that every time he was loaned out, he would never return in one piece. He would always be injured. If Feng Shanshan found out, she would be worried again. The next morning, Feng Shanshan took the initiative to go home because she was used to calling once in the morning and once in the morning. This time, the call went through. She knew that someone had returned. So, she asked Professor Tang to send her home in the morning. Because the professor was busy with work, he only said that he would teach someone a lesson at night and drove away. After entering the house, Feng Shanshan saw that the coffee table in the living room was covered in bloody bandages. Her heart sank. She knew that someone had returned with injuries again. Then, she quietly entered the bedroom and saw that someone was lying on the bed with his upper body naked. She did not disturb him and simply tidied up the house, waiting for him to wake up. Tang Yan woke up from his deep sleep when it was almost noon. When he pushed the door open and saw Feng Shanshan, he immediately hugged her. However, because he used too much force, Feng Shanshan pushed him away. Chapter 755. No. Feng Shanshan tried her best to keep herself calm and took out breakfast. I know you can't eat, but how much do you need to eat? You're so seriously injured. If you don't eat, how are you going to recover? Tang Yan was stunned for a moment. Then, he stopped the busy Feng Shanshan and said, I've already communicated with the chief. In the future, I won't participate in such cases anymore. Sit down. Feng Shanshan was still very calm. Tang Yan felt a little uneasy. After all, it wasn't Feng Shanshan's personality to not have much emotional fluctuations. So, he grabbed Feng Shanshan's hand. After this case, I can rest for a few more days. I'll stay at home with you. You want to accompany me? Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes. Sit down first. Tang Yan sat down. However, he sat down with his hand covering his wound. Feng Shanshan saw it and snorted coldly. I don't know if you're accompanying me or if I'm accompanying you. In order to punish this man, Feng Shanshan didn't plan to tell him about her pregnancy. However, because of the doctor's advice, she had to stay in bed as much as possible. So, she simply tidied up the house and went to bed again. There was still Tang Yan's body temperature under the blanket. Feng Shanshan finally felt at ease and fell asleep peacefully. Seeing that Feng Shanshan had fallen asleep, Tang Yan knew that she had been worried all day, so he ate a few mouthfuls of breakfast and returned to bed. He lay down beside Feng Shanshan and held her in his arms. In her sleep, Feng Shanshan was very uneasy. She kept kicking the blanket and sometimes she would even talk in her sleep. Tang Yan's heart ached. He had never felt so deeply that he wasn't a man. Then, he hugged Feng Shanshan tightly and comforted her gently, I'm here. I'm back. Originally, Tang Yan wanted to hug Feng Shanshan and sleep for the whole day, but the police station still called. Captain Tang, there's another suicide at Changrong Electronics. This is the 4th case in the past 2 years. Also, there's something strange. The girl who committed suicide this time has a lot of similarities with the suicide case we determined previously. It was a call from Old Qing. He had only been back for 1 night, and these people already knew his whereabouts. Initially, Tang Yan didn't want to bother with it, but he knew that Shinkai had taken over Changrong Electronics. So, after making lunch for Feng Shanshan, he went out with his injuries. After arriving at the branch office, Old Qing quickly came up to him. However, when he saw that Tang Yan didn't look well, he felt a little guilty. Captain Tang, are you injured? It's a small injury, Tang Yan answered. I don't want to disturb you, but this matter is a little. I'll go to the autopsy room first, Tang Yan said firmly again. Then, he turned the corner and went to the autopsy room. Professor Tang looked up and saw him. He stopped his work and glared at him. Why are you here? Coming back to work right after coming back. Youth to work right. She's resting at home. I'm just here to report to the director, Tang Yan explained. He did not understand why the professor was so agitated. She to say, T to she. To T, I, T, to Sean T, T, to T, to. To T, to phone T, I'll go back after I finish my report, Tang Yan promised. Get lost. I'll deal with the director. Professor Tang instructed, you're already going to be a father, yet you don't care about your family at all. If I were Shanshan, I would leave you immediately. What a bastard. Tang Yan listened for a while and caught the main point of the professor's words. What do you mean by becoming a father? Shanshan didn't tell you. Say what? She's pregnant. Professor Tang glared at Tang Yen with a disappointed look. Hearing these words, Tang Yen was stunned, and his body stiffened. A moment later, he turned around and left, completely ignoring old Chang's shouts behind him. No wonder she wanted to move to his uncle's house. No wonder she wanted to rest in bed in broad daylight. No wonder, when she saw him, her tone was so calm. No wonder, Tang Yen drove straight home. When he entered the house, Feng Shanshan was still unconscious. Tang Yan's gaze then fell on her smooth lower abdomen. It was in this place that a child belonging to him and Feng Shanshan was born. He didn't want Feng Shanshan to suffer so early, but when he heard the news, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. His mind was filled with the image of Feng Shanshan with the child. That was his flesh and blood. Tang Yen felt like he was going crazy. Feng Shanshan slept until the afternoon. It was Mu Qiqi's call that woke her up. Feng Shanshan reached out to pick up the call. It was Mu Qiqi who asked twice a day, "Captain Tang isn't back yet?" "Oh, he's back," Feng Shanshan sat up and answered. "What was his expression when he found out you were pregnant?" "I haven't told him yet." Feng Shanshan rubbed her hair. "I felt sleepy when I got home and slept until now." "All right, then you rest." Mu Qiqi hung up and Feng Shanshan also put down her phone. Then, she saw Tang Yen appear at the bedroom door. "Did you sleep enough?" Feng Shanshan nodded and touched her stomach. "I'm a little hungry. Get up and I'll take you to eat. Then, we'll go to the hospital for a checkup. I want to see it with my own eyes." Tang Yen helped her up. Feng Shanshan was stunned for a moment and looked at Tang Yen. "Weren't you afraid of dragging me down in the past? Now that I'm pregnant, isn't it even more dangerous? We're getting married right away. I don't want you and the child to get criticized by others. Whether it's dangerous or not, we'll talk about it later. I'll take care of it. Are you willing to marry me because of the child?" Feng Shanshan frowned and sat by the bed, unwilling to get up. "No, I never planned to let go. It's just that the child appeared earlier," Tang Yen explained. These were his heartfelt words. "Ever since we got together, I've treated you as my only partner in this life. It's never changed. You didn't tell me. In the past, you always thought that you didn't want to have any emotional involvement with me. Even if I told you, you wouldn't care." That was true. Feng Shanshan was finally satisfied. She grabbed Tang Yan's hand and got up. "Actually, if you want to go on a business trip and investigate a case, it's still the same. I only hope that you can do what you promised me. When we give birth, you must be by my side. Even if it's investigating a case or carrying out a mission, I only want to be by your side." Tang Yen said what he really thought because this was what he was thinking about when he was carrying out a mission. "I don't want to get hurt again in the future." Chapter 756. After nightfall, Tang Yen brought Feng Shanshan to the banyan courtyard. This was the first time the two of them had officially entered Mu Qiqi and Xing Zhao's love nest. Of course, Mama Xing and Papa Xing had left in the evening for a vacation in France. Now, only the couple and fifth aunt were left at home. "It's only a few minutes away, and we're all in the same area. Why is the difference so big?" Feng Shanshan couldn't help but sigh after visiting the banyan courtyard. "My family works so hard to earn money. If the house he buys is only as big as the poor people like you, that would be crazy." Mu Qiqi snorted lightly, but she gestured for the two of them to sit in the living room and asked fifth aunt to make tea. "Why? Is Thanksgiving here?" "Shao Qi, it's been hard on you these few days," Tang Yen said to Mu Qiqi without waiting for Feng Shanshan's reminder. Sigh, I don't know what to say. Your identity means that you can't live a peaceful life with her, but I can't leave her alone, so I can only worry about her. Muchichi shrugged. In a while, I'll give you the GPS system so that you can monitor this pregnant woman at any time. She's younger than you. Feng Shanshan patted her belly unhappily. While the two of them were bickering, Xingxiao walked out of the study on the second floor and looked at Tang Yan. Is it convenient for us to talk? The two women looked at each other. When did the two of them become so familiar with each other? However, before the two of them could react, Tang Yan had already stood up and followed them to the second floor. Muchichi looked at Feng Shanshan suspiciously and then understood. It's probably because of Changrong and Xingkai. Qingbin followed Xingkai. The first thing Xingxiao said after closing the door was to tell Tang Yan this news. Xingkai isn't as difficult to deal with as Third Master Long, but he's definitely more disgusting than Third Master Long. Third Master Long knows how to weigh the pros and cons. Benefits come first, but Xingkai is only doing it for revenge. Xingkai needs a fighter who won't break his arm, and Qingbin needs a chance to get close to you. That's why the two of them joined forces so quickly. Therefore, their target is no longer just you or me, but all of us. After Tang Yan heard Xingxiao's words, he nodded lightly. I will thoroughly investigate the matter regarding Changrong. The mad dog is so eager to bite me, so I can't sit still and wait for death. A few years ago, I could send Qingbin to prison. Today, I can also make Xingkai stay in prison. Let me know if you need any help, Xingxiao said to Tang Yan. I don't need any help, except protect Feng Shanshan. Xingxiao knew that it was Tang Yan's ribs. Just like Muchichi to him, no one could touch it. The two men exchanged a few words and returned to their respective women. Downstairs, Muchichi and Feng Shanshan were almost done. Captain Tang has just returned. You must have a lot to say. Don't waste your time here. Go back. Muchichi began to chase the guests away. It was rare that her parents were not at home, and she had something she wanted to do with Xiao Xiao. I don't plan to stay long. Feng Shanshan snorted and stood up with Tang Yan's help. By the way, I know a little about Changrong Electronics. It seems that the Major Crimes Division is in charge of this case. Xiao Qi, are you going to participate too? You're a pregnant woman. Why are you worrying so much? Muchichi glared at her. Go back and rest. Of course, Muchichi wanted to participate. Not only because she wanted to see Xingkai play tricks, but she also wanted to know what kind of secrets were hidden behind so many suicides. Of course, she did not know that this case was related to the previous one. However, since it concerned Xingkai, Xiao Xiao might not agree to her participating in the case. Tang Yan did not say anything. The two of them came over to thank her and turned to leave. Muchichi looked at their backs and quickly asked Fifth Aunt to go home. Then, she locked the door and sneakily went to the study. Xingxiao crossed his arms and looked at her. What are you playing at? Mom and Dad aren't home, and Fifth Aunt left. Muchichi climbed onto Xingxiao's legs and said. So? Xingxiao asked her with a faint smile. He knew what she wanted, but he deliberately teased her and made her say it herself. I want to go to the living room. Muchichi drew a circle on Xingxiao's chest. Why do you want to go to the living room? Xingxiao planned to play dumb until the end. What do you think? Muchichi snorted. Let's sleep in the living room tonight. It was impossible for him not to understand such an obvious hint, right? Sure enough, Xingxiao carried Muchichi horizontally and walked straight to the living room downstairs. Little one, I'll be tortured to death by you sooner or later. Muchichi was young and was at the age when all aspects of her qualities were strong. As a man in his 30s, he naturally had to be satisfied every day. No matter what, he couldn't let his woman suffer, right? Tang Yan brought Feng Shanshan home and personally wiped her face and feet. Feng Shanshan felt that this was not something a man should do, but Tang Yan held her hand. "This is all I can do for you. If you don't let me, I'll feel very guilty." Feng Shanshan saw that he did not change his clothes and knew that he was actually waiting to report to the branch office at night. "Are you still going out? I have to accept the matter of Changrong Electronics as soon as possible and thoroughly investigate Xingkai." "Why?" Qingbin followed Xingkai, Tang Yan answered calmly. Feng Shanshan immediately understood when she heard that. This was also the reason why Xing Xiao had asked her to go to the study to discuss. Feng Shanshan did not stop him. She held Tang Yan's handsome face and kissed it gently. "Be careful. I'll change your dressing later before you leave. Don't force yourself. Let senior brother Long and the others do the physical work." Tang Yan took the opportunity to hold Feng Shanshan's hand and said in a rather emotional tone, "When I'm free tomorrow or the day after, I'll make a report and then register with you. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll accompany you for a prenatal checkup." Feng Shanshan nodded. Actually, she was already very satisfied that Tang Yan could do this. "I'm not that weak. I just want to know that you're safe. No matter what you're doing, I'll be at ease." Tang Yan rubbed Feng Shanshan's head and continued to massage the soles of her feet. "After you're pregnant, you've become more sensible." Feng Shanshan did not say anything. Under Tang Yan's care, she lay on the bed. Perhaps it was because she was pregnant, but she was very sleepy. After lying in Tang Yan's arms for 10 minutes, she fell asleep. Looking at Feng Shanshan like this, Tang Yan's heart ached. For him, this woman had given up her studies and career. Now, she was even pregnant before marriage. He really owed her too much. Chapter 757. Of course, Xingkai had not expected Changrong to have another suicide incident. However, as soon as he took over the position of CEO, such a scandal broke out that night, making it very difficult for him to do public relations. For this reason, he could not understand why Jin Bo wanted him to invest in Changrong. There were so many scandals, and even the criminal police had come to his door. Did his godfather want him to make money? For this reason, Xingkai called Jin Bo godfather. "You already know about another employee committing suicide, right? If an employee wants to commit suicide, can't you just relax the benefits and shorten the working hours? They must be under too much pressure at work. That's why they did this." Jin Bo maintained his usual amiable tone and lectured Xingkai diligently. "Godfather, I still don't quite understand why you asked me to take over Changrong. You just have to do it honestly and deal with the police well. Anyway, this is a suicide and it has nothing to do with you. You just have to do public relations well. When this matter is over, the gift I gave you will almost arrive. Just wait. If there's nothing else, I'm still busy, so I'll hang up." After Jin Bo finished speaking, he hung up on Xingkai. Xingkai put away his phone. He really did not understand, but he could only do as Jin Bo said. There were some paths that once you moved forward, you could not turn back. At 10:00 in the evening, Tang Yan went out to the field with Old Qing and senior brother Long. For this reason, Old Qing and senior brother Long yawned and asked Tang Yan, "Captain Tang, why are you going so late? If it weren't for the fact that your field work isn't good enough, we could be having a comfortable meeting in the branch office right now. We wouldn't need to go to the crime scene." Tang Yan looked at the photos they had taken and said, "Since you've discovered the similarities with the previous case, why are you still so careless?" Old Qing and senior brother Long looked at each other and did not say anything. If they were as careful as Tang Yen, they would not have been a criminal police officer after working for so many years. Are they really not as good as Muchichi? The two of them coughed lightly. They were familiar with Changrong's access control. Because it was already after work, there was no one else in Changrong Electronics other than the guard. Officer, didn't you come here during the day? We don't care about time when investigating cases. In order to find the real culprit as soon as possible, please cooperate. Where's the person in charge of Changrong? After Tang Yen finished speaking to the guard, he turned to ask Old Ching. He was referring to Xing Kai. Wait in the office, Old Ching replied. Let's go to the scene first and then meet him, Tang Yen ordered. Aren't we going to see him first? They're still waiting. Old Ching thought to himself that Captain Tang really didn't take the other party seriously. Let him wait, Tang Yen answered as he took out his gloves and put them on. Lead the way. The two of them had no objections to their boss's order. They quickly walked in front and went to the crime scene first, which was the staff's dormitory. It was still the same. He took the medicine, died in the bathtub, and left a suicide note. Tell me, is there anything similar to the previous case? Tang Yen asked Old Ching as he reviewed the scene. In the previous case, Chi-Chi and the professor found out that before the victim committed suicide, she went to get her nails done. She even searched for a guide to travel abroad on the computer. Most importantly, the victim's home, which was the first crime scene, was too clean. It was so clean that even the victim's fingerprints were gone. What about this time? Of course, Tang Yen knew. He picked up the case and found a business card under the victim's bed. It's the same for this girl. The day before, she had an appointment with her friends to go to the movies and booked a haircut on the weekend. Although she didn't have any plans to travel abroad, she bought a train ticket home. I heard that her mother was sick. In addition, the room was also abnormally clean. After Tang Yen heard this, he took out a business card from his pocket and handed it to the two of them. Old Ching, look for it carefully. See if there's any information related to this card in this room. Xiao Long and I will go meet Xing Kai. Old Ching took the business card and nodded. Don't worry, Captain Tang. When Tang Yen turned around, he covered his wound, which attracted Xiao Long's attention. Captain Tang, you're seriously injured, aren't you? Xiao Long scratched Tang Yan's clothes and found that there was a bandage wrapped around his left abdomen. There were still traces of blood. Is that a gunshot wound or a stab wound? It has nothing to do with you. Don't tell anyone else, Tang Yen said lightly. It's never a good thing when the relevant departments lend you out. Xiao Long rolled his eyes. This person was injured when he went out, so it must be a big case. Soon, the two of them arrived at Xing Kai's office. At this moment, Qingbin was waiting in the office with Xing Kai. Then, Tang Yen knocked on the door. CEO Xing, is it convenient for us to talk? When Qingbin heard this voice, he became extremely nervous, but Xing Kai reminded him to calm down. Qingbin nodded, got up, opened the door, and led Tang Yen into the office. I didn't expect you to be CEO Xing's assistant. Tang Yen looked at Qingbin and said with a hidden meaning. What are you talking about? It's just to support my family. Qingbin still maintained his aloof appearance. Captain Tang, please have a seat. I'm not sitting. I just have a few words to say to CEO Xing. Tang Yen held the documents and looked at Xing Kai. Although I don't know why CEO Xing wants to take this position, it's probably because it's easier to earn money from Changrong. I'm here for nothing else but to inform CEO Xing that since the Major Crimes Division has taken over this case, you should know what it means, right? For the first 3 suicide cases, CEO Xing, please get the relevant personnel to sort them out and hand them over to the police as soon as possible. After Xingkai heard Tang Yan's words, he put down the teacup in his hand and smiled. I heard from the guard downstairs that Captain Tang arrived a long time ago, but you deliberately made me wait for so long. I wonder how I offended you. CEO Xing, you might not know this, but I just came back and haven't had the time to investigate the scene yet. My subordinates didn't do a good job, so I have to personally investigate the scene to be at ease. So, it's my fault for making CEO Xing wait, Tang Yan said as he looked at Xingkai. You're just the captain of a criminal police team. Aren't you a little arrogant? This is just a simple suicide case. Is the police so lacking in performance? Maintaining law and order is our duty, Tang Yan replied firmly. Previously, when Zhongting had an accident, we could still cooperate according to the law, but not when it came to Changrong. Xingkai was choked by Tang Yan. Chapter 758. Captain Tang, you're really eloquent. Ordinary people like us can't resist you at all, Xingkai mocked. It's my duty. Sorry for offending you. From the beginning to the end, Tang Yan was cold and indifferent. He treated everyone according to the rules and did not show any warmth at all. To him, this was a human life. Obviously, Xingkai did not think so in his heart. This was the most obvious difference between Xingkai and Xingxiao. That's all for today. Thank you for your cooperation, CEO Xing. You can go home and rest. After saying that, Tang Yan reminded old Qing and Officer Long to leave. Wait, I heard Captain Tang mention Zhongting just now. I wonder if Captain Tang has a personal relationship with the other CEO Xing of Zhongting. Xingkai suddenly asked. We don't have much of a personal relationship, Tang Yan answered straightforwardly. Captain Tang, don't mind me. I just don't want any personal grudges to be mixed in the case. Of course, I also hope that the police can close the case as soon as possible. After all, I still have to make money. This is a human life. Of course, the police will do our best to solve the case as soon as possible. However, CEO Xing, you have to understand that the person died in Changrong. You also have the responsibility of failing to supervise him. Don't think that this matter is unrelated to you. Goodbye. After saying that, Tang Yan turned around and left. This made Xingkai very unhappy. A mere criminal police officer actually had such an arrogant attitude. It really made it difficult for him to calm down. Now I can finally understand why you're so ruthless to this police officer. After Tang Yan left, Xingkai said this to Qingbin. Of course, old Qing and the others, who had already left Changrong, could not help but be puzzled. Although Captain Tang had always been like this and did things according to the rules, he had never been so cold to anyone. Does Captain Tang have a personal grudge with CEO Xing? Old Qing asked. However, he was interrupted by senior brother Long. What personal grudge? Don't you see that CEO Xing doesn't care about the life and death of his employees at all? Think about what Zhongting did before. Although it's rumored that Zhongting CEO Xing Xiao is a good and evil person, what's the truth? He's a magnanimous gentleman. At first glance, you can tell that he's full of righteousness. Unlike this person, if he were in a fantasy world, he would be a crooked devil. It would be strange if Captain Tang likes him. Old Qing chuckled and nodded. That's right. The two brothers are as different as clouds and mud. This is also why Zhongting can develop and grow so quickly. It's inseparable from the leader's character. Of course. This was also the reason why Tang Yan was willing to have a close relationship with Xing Xiao. As a human being, especially a man, although he could not say that he would always make the right choice, there were still some things that he could not do. Alright, I'll drive home. You two go back to the station by yourselves. Tang Yen interrupted them. Captain Tang, this is not your style. Aren't you going back to the station? I want to rest. When they heard Tang Yen say that he wanted to rest, Old Ching and Old Ching were so surprised that their jaws almost dropped. Was this still the impartial Captain Tang they knew? However, senior brother Long could understand. Captain Tang is injured. He should rest. By the way, Captain Tang, this is for you. Old Ching took out a card and handed it to Tang Yen. I didn't find any effective information in the deceased's room. Come to the meeting tomorrow. Tang Yen took it back, opened the car door, and got into the car. When there was no security system at home, he would definitely stay by Feng Shanshan and the child's side. After Xing Kai returned home, he was questioned by Gu Xiling. It's so late. Why did you come back so late? Do you think it's that easy to deal with the police? Xing Kai told Gu Xiling about Tang Yen humiliating him at Changrong today. He said that he doesn't have a personal relationship with Xing Xiao. I don't believe him at all. What can I do? Xing Xiao is naturally better at winning people over than you in this regard. Gu Xiling snorted. You'd better find your own reasons. Also, Xing Kai, I still feel that there's something wrong with this matter. Why did Godfather let you take over a company that always has problems? Aren't you curious? It has nothing to do with you. Just be the wife of the CEO, Xing Kai said as he took off his coat. I don't want to care about you either, but I want to make sure that I won't be dragged down by you. After saying this, Gu Xiling entered the bedroom and closed the door. These two people had successfully acted out what it meant by husband and wife being birds in the same forest. When disaster struck, they would fly separately. Of course, Xing Kai had thousands of doubts in his heart, but now that his godfather was unwilling to tell him anything, what could he do? The next day, Mu Chichi woke up early and obediently went to the kitchen to make breakfast. It was obvious that she had a guilty conscience and wanted to do something to Xing Xiao. After Xing Xiao went downstairs, he sat at the dining table and drank his coffee. When he saw Mu Chichi's little head, he asked without raising his head, "What do you want now? Can you let me participate in the case?" Mu Chichi sincerely lay on Xing Xiao's body and acted coquettishly. Xing Kai suddenly took over Changrong in a mysterious manner. There must be a secret behind it. Other than the old man, the other person he hates the most is you. I think if I participate, I can take precautions. No. Xing Xiao directly refuted her with 2 words. Moreover, if there's any news, Su Che will know to update it. There's no need for you to specially inquire about it. Mu Chichi had no choice but to roll on Xing Xiao's body. When Captain Tang wasn't around, I knew you would be worried, so I definitely wouldn't say anything about going to the forensics laboratory to help. But now that Captain Tang is back, he can guarantee my safety. How can you guarantee me something that even he can't guarantee? Xing Xiao looked at Mu Chichi mockingly. Don't get any ideas. In the future, I'll encounter more dangerous cases. I might even be threatened like Captain Tang. What will you do then? Then we'll talk about it in 2 years, Xing Xiao stared at Mu Chichi and said coldly. Mu Chichi was discouraged, but she couldn't be angry because this man was very good at assessing danger. Since he didn't want her to participate, she should just listen to him, Mu Chichi thought. I promise you that I won't take the initiative to participate, but if the professor still needs me, I'll go over, okay? Are you sure you don't want to beg Tang Yen? Xing Xiao glanced at her and asked. I won't. Mu Chichi raised her hand and swore. She muttered, this Xing Kai is getting more and more out of line. I'm also a member of the Xing family, and I also want to participate. I can't always let you and third brother carry the burden. The most important thing is you. Xing Xiao didn't say anything. He just stroked her hair. It was very comfortable. Chapter 759. Then, can you promise that you'll tell me when you find out what's wrong? Mu Qiqi lay on Xing Xiao's lap again and said, in the past few years, I've always believed in you, respected you, relied on you, and accepted your careful care. However, sometimes, I also want you to treat me equally and not always treat me like a child. Xing Xiao lowered his head and looked at Mu Qiqi. He realized that he had been thinking more and more about this recently, but it was still developing in a good direction. So, he nodded. Forget it. If you don't make me worry anymore, I'll definitely not be used to it. As long as the professor really needs you, I won't stop him. You promised me. You can't go back on your word. Xing Xiao held Mu Qiqi's hand and couldn't help but roll his eyes at her. When have I ever gone back on my word? That was true. Mu Qiqi was relieved. She returned to the dining table and ate her breakfast seriously. However, throughout breakfast, Mu Qiqi kept peeking at Xing Xiao. She didn't know why this man was so good-looking. No matter how she looked at him, she didn't get tired of him. Xing Xiao knew that burning gaze, but he didn't interfere. It was fine if it was his, but if it was someone else, who would have the guts to do so? After breakfast, Tang Yan entered the branch office for a meeting. However, before he entered the office, old Xing came up to him with a frown. Captain Tang, the chief wants you to go to his office. Tang Yan nodded. He had guessed it because of the business card he had picked up earlier. Tang Yan, hurry up and close the suicide case of Changrong's employee. I have a new case here that I need you to handle immediately. Tang Yan sneered faintly, but he took out the card and placed it on the chief's desk. Although I don't know if the previous 3 suicides of Changrong were because of this, I'm sure that the 5 suicides are inextricably linked. Moreover, there will be more murders soon. When the chief saw the business card, he was stunned. If the chief wants to be a confused person, I can only follow suit. It's just that I'm starting to wonder why I'm wearing this police uniform. Many years ago, the prisoners I sent to prison are now eyeing my family and even my lover covetously. But I've never regretted it because I know that I've done the right thing. But now, I've seen through too much. I know that the real culprit is free, and I know that the deceased is wronged, but what can I do as a criminal police officer? If the director wants to close the case with suicide, then I won't want to wear this uniform anymore. After that, Tang Yan turned around and wanted to leave the chief's office, but he was called back by the chief. Stop right there. Are you even human? The chief was also angry. Do you think that you're the only one who's upset? I've been a police officer for more than 30 years, and I've caught countless criminals. I also want to catch all the criminals in this world in one fell swoop, but there are times when I have the will but not the strength. Then there's nothing more to say. Wait. The director stood up and blocked Tang Yan's way. If I allow you to investigate this case, how long will it take for you to give me a satisfactory answer? Tang Yan shook his head. Director, I can't give you any guarantee. The director took a deep breath and finally slapped the table fiercely. I'll give you a week because I can only withstand the pressure for a week. Let's see how far you can go first. Thank you, director. Take it back, you bastard. The director gritted his teeth because he knew what it meant to allow Tang Yan to investigate this case. Tang Yan took back the business card and returned to the conference room. He immediately called for a meeting. Tang Yan planned to find some connections between the suicide of the young girl and the physical evidence of Xingkai framing Huang Yao. He had a feeling that the people who were stirring up trouble behind the scenes in Jianchuan were the same group. Of course, before the meeting, Tang Yan called Xing Xiao in advance. What's the matter? I feel that investigating Changrong Electronics case is like shaking a volcano. It's very dangerous. Can I borrow CEO Xing's financial resources to set up a security system? There are some things that the police can do, but there are also some things that the police can't do. Tang Yan said it so directly. Of course, Xing Xiao understood. That idiot Xing Kai probably didn't know what kind of quagmire he had fallen into. Not only did he become someone else's pawn, but he also wanted to drag the Xing family and Zhongting down with him. Moreover, Zhongting's current strength was inextricably linked to the Xin family. It had already been feared by many people. Even without Xing Kai being the executioner in the middle, there would probably be people looking for trouble with him soon. I've said it before. I'll increase my investment in this area. If you need manpower or financial resources, just tell me. I've already prepared this fund. Is 1 billion enough? Thank you for your generosity, CEO Xing, but I need people more, people like Su Che. With money, are you afraid that you won't be able to hire people? Xing Xiao chuckled. Originally, he only wanted to be a pure businessman. However, after interacting with Secretary He for a long time, he also understood a principle. He was in the military industry. Now that the Xin family was in charge of Jianchuan, he could have a smooth journey. However, in a few years, when the time came, the number of people he blocked would be the number of people who would come to settle the score with him. There's one more thing. I want to borrow Chi-Chi. Hearing Tang Yan's request, Xing Xiao smiled. Why? At most, he thought that the professor would need Chi. He did not expect Tang Yan to ask for her personally. Xiao Qi's observation is different from ordinary people. It's a pity that she's only a forensic doctor. She can be a criminal police officer. Although you're her guardian angel, you can't deny that she has the ability. Tang Yan's words were much more convincing than the little one's own words. Of course, Xing Xiao would naturally agree to it when he heard it. I don't have any other request. You must ensure her safety. After the conversation, they hung up in a hurry. Then, Tang Yan returned to the office and sorted out the case with everyone. At noon, Mu Chi-Chi received a call from the professor. She was so happy that she almost flew into the air. Even so, Mu Chi-Chi still called Xing Xiao to ask for his opinion. Go ahead. Xing Xiao kept his word. After that, Mu Chi-Chi was borrowed again. The students from the forensic science faculty were quite dissatisfied. But who asked her to be the top student even if she didn't go to class? Don't be jealous. Mu Chi-Chi became a forensic assistant and handled so many dead bodies. She has accumulated so much experience, but you can't even beg for it. Are you all still hoping that she will fail? She has actual combat experience. How can she fail? However, the students' discussion was behind the scenes. Mu Chi-Chi did not know about it. Chapter 760. After Mu Chi-Chi arrived at the branch office, Tang Yan prepared a new work ID for her. Go to the autopsy room to look at the body first. Then, I'll wait for you to go to the crime scene, Tang Yan said to Mu Chi-Chi. Is Shanshan all right? Mu Chi-Chi asked as she hung up her work ID. We'll talk about private matters later. Go to work first, Tang Yan urged. Mu Chi-Chi nodded and quickened her pace to the autopsy room. When the professor saw her appear, he quickly showed her the autopsy results. This is the poison test report. Arsenic trioxide. Mu Chi-Chi's expression was rather complicated. Logically speaking, this thing is often used in the paint industry and glass factories. Can electronics factories get it easily? This girl is really ruthless to herself. Under normal circumstances, it's enough to kill her. Whether it's suicide or homicide, of course the more the better. The professor pulled the body out for Muchichi and prepared gloves for her. What was arsenic trioxide? In layman's terms, it was arsenic. It was extremely poisonous. We have to find out why she committed suicide and how this thing got into her hands, the professor instructed Muchichi. When you go to the scene later, you have to observe carefully. I understand. Even though the cause of death was clear, Muchichi still had to examine the body again. Of course, just like the young girl from before, there were no suspicious traces on the body, nor were there any injuries. There were no biological fibers or fingerprints of other people. It's about time. Captain Tang is still waiting for me. I'll be leaving first, Muchichi said to the professor after looking at the body. Go ahead. The professor waved at her. Muchichi returned to the police car, but as soon as she got in, Old Ching and the others despised her. Chi-Chi, the smell on your body is back again. I want to smell good too, but I have no choice. I'm a forensic doctor. Why don't you do the autopsy? Muchichi rolled her eyes. Forget it. I'd rather sell ham and do field work than deal with those bloody things. Muchichi snorted softly and looked at Tang Yen. Have you found the source of the arsenic? Yes, I just got the news. It was indeed bought by the deceased with money, Tang Yen replied. The seller didn't know the purpose of the deceased, but he was greedy for money, so he sold it. At this point, everyone would think that the deceased was courting death. Why does Captain Tang still insist that there's a problem with the case? Because of this. Tang Yen handed the name card to Muchichi. Muchichi took it and looked at it. She was stunned and frowned. Do you remember the last case where the girl already had a boyfriend? I found this under the girl's bed. I asked Old Ching to secretly check the number on the business card. He kept talking to the deceased 3 times a week. Later, the phone was cancelled, and I couldn't find any information about the person on the business card. No wonder. Muchichi understood. But the strangest thing is that Old Ching is sure that this person really existed before. When Muchichi heard that, she suddenly looked up. You mean, someone destroyed the files for him? It's precisely because we don't know that we have to investigate. Tang Yen didn't reveal anything else. When we arrive at the crime scene later, pay close attention to the information related to this business card. Although Old Ching did this, I still feel that you need to see it. Old Ching pursed his lips. He was unhappy, but he had to admit that Xiao Qi was 100 times more careful. I got it. Muchichi still had doubts in her heart, but she didn't ask in front of Old Ching and the others. After they got out of the car, Muchichi said, Captain Tang, you didn't finish what you were saying just now, did you? Tang Yen chuckled and nodded. If Old Ching and the others had half of your observation skills, I wouldn't have had to catch you when you went to school. I know a person whose former name is on the business card. Are you saying that this person used his defunct name to commit murder? I hope not. Muchichi didn't ask further because of Tang Yan's identity. He was a criminal police officer, and the people around him naturally had something to do with the police industry. This was also the reason why Tang Yan was cautious. The two of them entered Changrong's main gate at the same time. At this time, Xingkai was bringing Gu Xiling around the park. When enemies met, their eyes turned red. Gu Xiling walked over and said to Muchichi, You're really haunting me. You're everywhere. If there wasn't a murder case at Changrong Electronics, you wouldn't be able to see me even if you wanted to. Muchichi snorted. There was a hint of arrogance in her tone. However, this made Old Ching and the others happy. They were all young ladies from rich families, but the difference was huge. You're just a forensic doctor. What's there to be proud of? Besides, you have a personal grudge against us. Who knows if you'll take this opportunity to avenge your personal grudges? Gu Xiling grabbed Mu Qiqi and prevented her from entering Changrong's staff dormitory. After hearing Gu Xiling's words, Old Qing was angry. He opened his mouth to retort, but was stopped by Mu Qiqi. I'm not as free as you. Speaking of which, I still have a private score to settle with you, but not now. Mrs. Xing, ever since I met you, you've always been in a state of ignorance. There's a murder case at Changrong today, but you're still acting recklessly. You're wasting time by stopping me. It won't do Changrong any good. Mu Qiqi's tone began to turn cold. Tang Yan also said directly, Mrs. Xing, please don't interfere with official business. After saying that, he brought Mu Qiqi to the first scene of the murder case. Gu Xiling wanted to chase after her, but she was stopped by Xing Kai. She has a public position now. Don't pester her endlessly. What can she do to investigate the case? She just wants to cause trouble for Changrong. If you want to stop her, then come up with a way. Yelling here will only embarrass you, Xing Kai said sternly. Isn't our current situation difficult enough? You still have to make things difficult for me here. Gu Xiling found it hard to calm down, but she was helpless. Could Mu Qiqi solve the case alone? She suspected that this case could not be closed as a suicide. It was Mu Qiqi's doing. She was extremely despicable. Mu Qiqi carefully observed every part of the crime scene. It was such a clean space. The murderer had even cleaned up the traces of the deceased. How could she find new clues? Mu Qiqi took out the business card and thought about it carefully. The last woman had a boyfriend, but this time, this woman did not. She was single. She could make the deceased willingly buy arsenic. There must be a connection between the deceased and the murderer. It was just that they had not discovered it. Chapter 761. Mu Qiqi carefully searched and observed the deceased's room. Old Qing and the others asked the deceased's friends and colleagues. The unanimous conclusion was that Bai Sini was a cheerful girl and had a reasonable plan for her life. Everyone was surprised that she committed suicide this time. Old Qing really couldn't get anything out of her, so he could only return to the crime scene. Qiqi, did you find anything? I didn't find any information related to the man on the business card. Mu Qiqi stood up and said, I wanted to ask senior brother Qing, what was the relationship between the deceased and her mother? According to her friend's description, the deceased's parents divorced in the early years. After that, the deceased lived with her mother. After graduating from university, she went to work at Changrong Electronics. It's been almost 3 years. Isn't her mother sick? She also bought a return ticket, and according to the call records, she and her mother have been in contact frequently recently. Mu Qiqi nodded. I just think that her relationship with her mother isn't very good. Why do you think so? Haven't you noticed since you came in? The room is filled with photos of her and her father, but there's not a single photo of her and her mother, Mu Qiqi explained. Do you think that's normal? Old Qing observed carefully, and it was indeed the case. I think we can focus on investigating the deceased's mother. The murderer might also be using her mother to release a signal to the deceased. Where's Captain Tang? Something happened. He went home, Old Qing answered. The people at the branch office didn't know that Feng Shanshan was pregnant, so they didn't know that Tang Yan had gone back to accompany her for a prenatal checkup. Alright, that's all for today. You guys immediately get news about her parents and wait for Captain Tang to decide whether to investigate her parents. Old Qing nodded and sighed. It's a pity that such a young and beautiful girl has passed away. Xiao Long and I will go back to the branch office. What about you? You don't have to worry about me. I've already informed the family, Muchichi replied. Then we won't bother about you. After the investigation, the group left Changrong Electronics. However, because Xing Xiao was still on the way, Muchichi stood at the entrance of Changrong and waited. Not long after, Gu Xialing's car drove out of Changrong. When she saw Muchichi, she rolled down the window and asked, "Forensic Dr. Mu, did you find anything?" Muchichi pretended not to hear anything. She did not want to talk to Gu Xialing. Gu Xialing was provoked. She opened the door and got out of the car. She walked up to Muchichi. "Why do you always show your arrogant side in front of me? What's so great about you? Gu Xialing, you'll never understand how precious a human life is. That's why I feel that we don't get along. I know what you're thinking, but please put away your desire to win. I don't have time to waste on you. I can't reveal the case to you. I'm working as a forensic doctor today, so I don't want to trouble you. But there's one thing I have to advise you. It's better not to step into some quagmires. What you've done in the past was just a clown's trick, but now it involves human lives. Today, someone else died, but tomorrow, it might be you. I'm not interested in knowing why Xing Kai took over Changrong, but I can tell you for sure that the person behind Xing Kai might not have anything to do with these murders. When the time comes, if something happens to the other party, the first one to suffer will be a pawn." After Muchichi finished speaking, Xing Xiao's car stopped across the road. Muchichi glanced at Feng Shanshan and brushed past her. She got into her family's car and the two of them sped away. Gu Xialing was still stunned because she had to admit that what Muchichi said was what she was worried about. The godfather behind Xing Kai said that he wanted to support his godson. She thought that he was going to give him a good job, but what happened in the end? Take over Changrong. Murder cases came one after another. She even had a feeling that Xing Kai, that idiot, was a scapegoat being raised by someone. After getting into the car, Muchichi took off her work pass and threw it aside. Xing Xiao saw it and asked her, "What did you say to Gu Xialing just now? I'm really annoyed to see this woman now. There's a high chance that she'll come looking for trouble. She used to be quite smart, but now it seems like her brain is mostly tofu dregs. She's looking for trouble with you." Muchichi snorted and pointed at her nose. "Master Xiao, are you kidding me? Is your wife the type to be bullied so easily?" However, I still kindly reminded her that Xing Kai might have fallen into a thief's lair. Ha! Xing Xiao did not understand what she was doing. Muchichi sighed and explained helplessly, "This couple is far from being as loving as they seem on the surface. When they get back, they'll definitely fight." Xing Xiao pinched Muchichi's ear and shook it left and right. "Do you really think you're a matchmaker? You can even tell if someone else's relationship is good or not. It's a feeling. You men won't understand. Besides, that couple is so selfish. It would be strange if they could have a good relationship." Muchichi rolled her eyes in disdain. "In that case, if we find the murderer of this series of cases, it's possible to find out who the person behind Xing Kai is." After hearing this, Muchichi looked at Xing Xiao in admiration. Look, it was so easy to talk to smart people. As a result, Muchichi revealed a look of disdain again. She had been playing the lute to a cow when she talked to Gu Xialing just now. On the other hand, Tang Yan had taken 2 hours off to keep his promise and bring Feng Shanshan to the hospital for a checkup. Feng Shanshan knew that he was busy, so she did not complain. When they arrived at the hospital, she cooperated with everything and used the fastest speed to let Tang Yan, her new father, see the small dot in her womb. At present, the pregnant woman's health is improving, but she still needs to rest in bed as much as possible. "It's best for you," husband, to accompany your wife more. This will help her recover. Thank you, doctor. We understand. Feng Shanshan saw that Tang Yen was silent and quickly answered the doctor. Because she knew that it was impossible for Tang Yen to accompany her. Tang Yen knew very well in his heart. There's nothing else. You can go home now. Feng Shanshan thanked him and held Tang Yan's hand as they left the hospital. Seeing that he did not say a word, she smiled. Why are you so nervous? The child is growing in my stomach. What are you afraid of? Tang Yan turned around slightly and faced Feng Shanshan. Why don't I quit and find another job? I'll try my best to accompany you. Feng Shanshan was shocked when she heard this. Even someone who had always regarded cases as his life would say such a thing. Chapter 762. But I don't want me to owe you more and more. Tang Yan held Feng Shanshan's hand and said, after I'm done with this case, I'll talk to the chief. I know martial arts. When the time comes, setting up a training school is also a good way out. Feng Shanshan saw that he seemed to be serious and wanted to stop him, but when the words came to her mouth, she felt that there was no need. Because he would eventually understand that he was born to be a criminal police officer. He couldn't escape even if he wanted to. After the two of them got into the car, Feng Shanshan said calmly, I'm not doing this for you to make you feel that you owe me. I'm doing everything willingly. I'm giving birth to a child for the man I love. This is also my child. You can lose your studies and get pregnant before marriage for me. I can also give up everything for you. But I don't need you to give up for me, Feng Shanshan answered him seriously. If you don't handle the case, you won't be the same Tang Yen. I don't want you to regret it. Let's talk about this in the future. It's not the last resort. Tang Yen didn't say anything else and just drove away. In the past, he drove very fast, but now he would have some misgivings. After all, he was about to be a father. What should I do when you're pregnant? Or, what should I prepare? It's also my first time being a mother. I've also read experiences and books on the internet, so I don't know what you need to prepare, Feng Shanshan said truthfully. But I've bought a few books. You can read them when you have time. Tang Yan nodded as he drove at a steady speed. I need to go back to the station first. Wait for me in the car. I'll be out in 10 minutes. No need. I haven't gone in for a long time. You talk to the chief. I'll go see my senior brothers. This was good too. At least he was relieved. When they arrived at the entrance of the branch office, Tang Yen helped Feng Shanshan out of the car. The two of them entered the station together and then Tang Yen went to the chief's office. This time, he was not there for the case, but for personal matters. He wanted to get married. After the chief heard this, he naturally could not object. Tang Yen, since you already have a child, I naturally won't stop you. However, Qingbin and the others, you have to be more careful. Especially now that you have a family, you have to be more careful. I know, Tang Yen replied respectfully. Since that's the case, you can go and settle the procedures tomorrow morning. Although the investigation is very important, I also have to care about my subordinate's life. Congratulations. Thank you, Director. Downstairs, Old Qing and the others were very happy to see Feng Shanshan. Really, is Captain Tang usually so strict? I told you not to come to the branch office, and you didn't come. It's such a waste of your senior brothers to treat you so well. Senior brother Long looked at Feng Shanshan and complained. I have a special reason. It's not convenient for me to come over. I'll visit you often in the future. Feng Shanshan quickly comforted them. When the professor heard that Feng Shanshan had come, he put down the scalpel and walked out of the autopsy room. You're not feeling well. Why don't you rest at home? Uncle, I'm much better now, Feng Shanshan replied with a smile. You have to be more careful, okay? The people around them listened and felt that something was wrong. However, only old Qing dared to ask directly. Is Shanshan pregnant with our captain's child? You didn't see it. Captain Tang helped Shanshan in just now. Not only that, but he even asked for leave for such an important case. Don't you think it's strange? Did this person have to guess so accurately? Feng Shanshan opened her mouth and was about to speak, but Tang Yan walked out of the director's office. There's no need to investigate the case anymore. You guys are so free. Captain Tang, did I guess right? Old Qing leaned forward fearlessly. Tang Yan didn't say anything. He just put his arm around Feng Shanshan's waist and said, "Let's go." Captain Tang didn't deny it, so it's tacit agreement. Since you dare to ask, then prepare the red packet early. I'll come over for a meeting at 8:00 in the evening. Tang Yan said coldly and then turned around with Feng Shanshan. The few of them were stunned for a moment before they reacted. As expected, Captain Tang is going to be a father. That's great. How fortunate. The police station was filled with wails. Of course, they were the envious voices of the single dogs. When would the police station have a beautiful sister again? There were no benefits at all. At 7:00 in the evening, Kai entered the house. When Gu Xiling saw him, she went up to him and asked, "Call Godfather and ask him what he wants you to do. No matter how I look at it, he doesn't seem like he wants to help you. Instead, he wants to use you as a tool." Xing Kai pushed Gu Xiling away and looked very impatient. You don't know anything at all. I don't know, but I know how to seek benefits and avoid harm. I don't want to be dragged down by you. Gu Xiling lay on the sofa and said. B***TCH. Xing Kai pointed at Gu Xiling and scolded, "Gu Xiling, you're already married to me. Stop dreaming. How can you find another man to be happy in this life? If you don't want to call, I'll call Godfather." After saying that, Gu Xiling was about to go forward and snatch Xing Kai's phone, but Xing Kai slapped her to the ground. Unreasonable. Gu Xiling was stunned and could only sit on the ground weakly. So you're incompetent. Because you only know how to go home and hit women. Xing Kai was almost angered, but when he saw the blood at the corner of Gu Xiling's mouth, he did not continue. He just grabbed his clothes, slammed the door, and left. Perhaps Gu Xiling felt that her life was too good. The two of them quarreled and Xing Kai rushed out of the door. That was exactly what Mu Qiqi had predicted, without a single mistake. At 8:00 in the evening, Tang Yan returned to the police station for a meeting to summarize and sort out the latest clues. Old Qing raised Mu Qiqi's question. It would be best to summon the mother of the deceased, Bai Sini, for questioning. However, because she was now bedridden, he could only ask the police to make another trip. Tang Yan felt that since Mu Qiqi was the one who had discovered this clue, it was most appropriate for her to go. One day and one night should be enough. He just didn't know if Xing Xiao would let her go. Mu Qiqi was definitely willing to go. The key was, where was her man? How about this? The deceased's father is in this city. Summon him for questioning first before deciding whether to go to J City. Tang Yan decided. Time is of the essence. Old Qing, bring some people to fetch Father Bai immediately. We'll try to get the results tonight. All right, Captain Tang, leave these matters to us. You're injured and you have to take care of Shanshan. You should go back and rest, Senior Brother Long said to Tang Yan. I have my own arrangements. You guys take care of yourselves, Tang Yen replied calmly. Of course, he had to go home. Tomorrow was the day he and Shanshan registered. He had not proposed yet. Chapter 763. However, when it came to proposing, Tang Yen had no experience, and there was no one around him to ask. Therefore, he could only call Xing Xiao for help. Xing Xiao frowned. He was puzzled. He and Tang Yen shouldn't be so familiar with each other, right? However, since the other party was in trouble, as someone who had been engaged and married before, he naturally had to give good advice. When Mu Qiqi heard that Tang Yen was going to propose, she immediately became excited. She moved closer to Xing Xiao and insisted on eavesdropping on their conversation. Xing Xiao pushed her away and went to the study with his phone. A few minutes later, Xing Xiao returned to the bedroom and saw Mu Qiqi's unhappy face. What can't you tell me? Why are you still hiding it? Xing Xiao pressed her head with a faint smile. Your mouth is as fast as lightning. If I tell you now, will others be surprised? When have I ever revealed other people's secrets? Mu Qiqi asked angrily. Besides, I'm really a little envious. Feng Shanshan is pregnant and now she's going to be proposed to. Thinking about it carefully, why do I feel that I've never experienced this before? Amnesia. Xing Xiao looked at her and pinched her chin. His tone was a little fierce. Looks like I really should throw you into the hospital and let the doctor cut open your head to see if there's a pig's brain or tofu inside. So fierce. Mu Qiqi rolled her eyes at him and struggled out of his hand. Sigh, we're an old couple. We're really tired of each other. Xing Xiao grabbed her shoulder and dragged her onto the big bed. Looks like you're sick. What disease? Mu Qiqi quickly covered her shoulders. You won't be happy if you don't provoke me. Late at night, Tang Yen returned home. He carefully covered his bulging trouser pockets and quietly entered the room. Feng Shanshan was lying on the bed, sleeping soundly. Taking the opportunity, Tang Yen immediately went to decorate the living room and called Professor Tang and his wife, hoping that the elders could witness it with their own eyes. Although it was already very late, Professor Tang and his wife were still very curious. When had they ever seen their cold nephew do such a thing? Therefore, the old couple moved very quickly. In the living room, Tang Yen arranged some candles and colorful lights. These were all found on the internet. Only the rings and the elders were learned from Xing Xiao. Then, he put on his police uniform. It was rare for him to be so proper in front of others. Then, he welcomed Professor Tang and his wife. Where's Shanshan? Professor Tang asked after entering the room. I'll have to trouble you two to take a seat in the kitchen. I've set an alarm for her, and the lights will be on in the room. She'll see it when she wakes up. Sure. Professor Tang was very straightforward. He took his wife and hid in the kitchen to watch the show. He had thought that his nephew would be cold for the rest of his life, but Feng Shanshan appeared and immediately showed her charm. She made his nephew, who did not understand feelings, obedient. Look, he even knew how to be romantic now. About 5 minutes later, the alarm clock beside Feng Shanshan rang. She was woken up. Seeing the colorful light in the bedroom, she immediately got up. The living room was lit with candles, white roses, and twinkling lights. The whole place looked dreamy and fairy tale. Then, Tang Yen came out of the bathroom with firm steps. This was the first time Feng Shanshan had seen him wear a police uniform. His natural heroic spirit and strong figure made people almost forget what it was like to wear this police uniform. Then, Tang Yen walked in front of Feng Shanshan and held her hand seriously. I didn't want to wake you up, but I want to change our relationship. I'm a cold person and I'm proud. I'm often not at home. When I'm on a mission, I'll forget the whole world. But after meeting you, I want to change everything. Shanshan, because of you, I want to have a home. After saying this, Tang Yen suddenly knelt on one knee and took out a brocade box from his pants pocket. There was a simple diamond ring inside, but because it was simple, it made Feng Shanshan feel at ease. Marry me. From now on, let me protect you and our child, okay? He specially wore a police uniform because he was swearing with it. From now on, she would be his everything. Feng Shanshan knew his intentions, so her eyes involuntarily turned red. Even if you don't propose, I'll only recognize you as a man. Feng Shanshan covered her face and said, to me, nothing is important. You and the child are my life. After saying that, Feng Shanshan pulled Tang Yen up, and Tang Yen took the opportunity to put the ring on Feng Shanshan's hand. Then, the two of them stared at each other and hugged each other affectionately. At this time, Professor Tang and Feng Shanshan came out of the kitchen. The old couple finally saw their child's happiness with their own eyes, and they could finally put down the big stone in their hearts. Uncle, Aunt. I asked them to come because they're our only family. I hope to get their approval and blessings, Tang Yen explained to Feng Shanshan. Professor Tang's eyes turned red. He pointed at Tang Yen and said, if you don't treat Shanshan well in the future, I won't let you off. But Shanshan, don't worry. This kid is wearing a police uniform to propose to you, which means that he values you more than his own life. This is the highest promise a man can make. Feng Shanshan leaned into Tang Yan's arms. She was extremely touched and happy. She felt that all of this was a dream. If she hadn't met Muchichi, if she hadn't been influenced by Muchichi, she would never have a happy family, a husband, and children in her life. At this moment, her heart was filled with gratitude. This was not a luxurious proposal of the century, but it was warm enough for her. Because her man existed to punish evil. As the wife of a police officer, she did not care about the vanity in front of her. Tomorrow morning, we'll register for marriage. I want you to be Mrs. Tang. Feng Shanshan nodded and cried tears of joy. She lay in Tang Yan's arms and cried softly. Finally, she was going to get married. On the other side, a colleague from the Jianchuan branch was interrogating Father Bai at night. After Father Bai and Mother Bai divorced, he went abroad to do business. He had just returned 3 years ago and could not contact his daughter. He did not expect that the last news he received from his daughter would be her death. Chapter 764. When was the last time you saw your daughter? Last Christmas, Papa Bai answered. Then you don't know anything about your daughter. Papa Bai's eyes were red as he shook his head. I'm a derelict father. I really want to strangle myself to death. Why didn't I bring my daughter to my side? After old Ching interrogated Papa Bai, he found nothing. It seemed that he had no choice but to go to Mama Bai. The next day, Muchichi went to the branch office to learn about the progress. When she heard about the results of Papa Bai's interrogation, she was very disappointed. Although she was already mentally prepared, Papa Bai had nothing to do with this matter. Chi-Chi, Captain still hopes that you can make the trip, but he seems to have some concerns, old Ching said to Muchichi. Muchichi rolled her eyes. Of course. Wouldn't she have concerns if she was asked to go out of the city to investigate a case? That big Buddha at home would be the first to disagree. But, Senior Brother Ching, if you can guarantee that you can send me home before 6:00 in the afternoon, I can go with you. I don't have any problems here. Let's wait for Captain Tang to come before making arrangements. Old Ching didn't dare to agree casually. After all, Muchichi wasn't an ordinary person. If anything happened, her family would definitely skin his entire family alive. He couldn't afford to bear this responsibility. Tang Yan brought Feng Shanshan to the Civil Affairs Bureau at 9:00 in the morning to register for the marriage certificate and then sent her to Professor Tang's house. At 10:00 in the morning, he returned to the branch office with the marriage certificate that he hadn't put down yet. At that moment, everyone was in a terrible state. Captain Tang, the trip to J City is unavoidable. What do you think we should do? Old Ching went up to Tang Yan and told him. After all, if he couldn't produce any evidence, both the pressure from the chief and public opinion would be fierce. Tang Yan looked at Muchichi and struggled in his heart. Then, he walked up to Muchichi and said to her, "If I don't come back tonight, please take care of Shanshan, your newlyweds." "Are you sure?" Muchichi grabbed the corner of Tang Yan's shirt and asked. "How about this? Wait for me. I'll call Xiao Xiao first." Tang Yan nodded. Muchichi took her phone and walked to the side. Muchichi's heart was pounding. She knew that no matter how much trouble she caused in Jianchuan, Xing Xiao would always have a way to keep her safe. But that might not be the case in other cities. And what Xing Xiao hated the most was having her out of his sight. Even so, she dialed Xing Xiao's number. "Xiao Xiao, if you have something to say, say it." Xing Xiao knew that it was not something good when he heard her hesitant tone. "There's an important suspect in J City, but she's seriously ill and can't come, so the police can only go there," Muchichi said, clearly feeling a little lacking in confidence. "You want to go?" Xing Xiao said what was on her mind. "Am I not here to ask for your opinion? If you think it's dangerous and won't let me go, then I'll." "So you're not going?" Xing Xiao scoffed. "You set off as usual. Wait for Su Che at the toll booth. He'll be there to pick you up. But if Su Che follows me, what will you do?" "I'll be at the company all day. I don't need him." After Xing Xiao said that, he hung up the phone. Then, he put down the contract and turned to tell his secretary, "Let Su Che in." No matter what, Muchichi easily obtained Xing Xiao's agreement. This made Muchichi feel uncomfortable. However, she did not know that Xing Xiao wanted to use this strategy to make Muchichi feel guilty. This way, she would naturally be more concerned about her safety and not act rashly. Actually, in general, this thing was obedient. She rarely caused trouble for him. Therefore, no matter what, he did not want to be the cage that imprisoned her wings. A moment later, Muchichi returned to everyone and said to Tang Yan, "Su Che will follow me, so Captain Tang, you stay in Jianchuan. If there are any clues in J City, Senior Brother Ching and I will give you feedback in time. I believe in you." Tang Yan patted Muchichi's shoulder. "I'll wait for your news. Come back as soon as possible." Muchichi nodded and got into old Chang's police car. There were 4 of them. Other than old Ching, there were 2 other rookies. Soon, the 4 of them left the city. Su Che followed Xing Xiao's instructions and waited at the exit of Jianchuan. Muchichi got into her car and the group quickly headed for J City. Actually, other than protecting Muchichi, Su Che had another mission. If Muchichi was not sure if she could go home before 5:00 in the afternoon, Su Che would immediately give Xing Xiao a signal. Since he could not guarantee that Muchichi would stay by his side obediently at all times, he could only move himself and let Muchichi stay in his line of sight. It was fine to say that he was exaggerating or being pretentious. He had to keep an eye on his own woman. Once an accident happened, it was 100%. After a 3-hour drive, Muchichi and the others arrived at the entrance of the hospital where Mama Bai was staying. They expressed their intentions to the hospital and successfully obtained Mama Bai's medical record and check-in information. This lady has a bad temper. Be careful when you ask her questions, the nurse kindly reminded them before they entered the ward. Then, Miss Nurse, who usually takes care of this lady? Muchichi could not help but want to know more about Mama Bai's situation and see if there were any traces of the murderer. Not long after she was paralyzed, she hired a nurse. She looks fierce every day. She's too tough. Then, can you tell us how to contact that nurse? No problem. The nurse nodded and took out her phone from her pocket. I can only contact the nurse's company and know his name. You'll have to find out the rest yourself. Thank you, Miss Nurse. The nurse smiled and walked away. Muchichi then said to senior brother Ching, in Baisini's suicide note, she said that it was because her family was broken and she had been living with a mask. It was very tiring. If this suicide note is forged, then the murderer must be very familiar with Baisini's family background. Let's go and meet this tough lady. After senior brother Ching said that, he knocked on the door of the ward. Who is it? Come in. A rough voice came from the room. Muchichi and senior brother Ching entered and saw a middle-aged woman in her early 50s lying on the bed. She looked ugly and disheveled. Who are you? Old Ching immediately took out his identification and said to her, We are the police. I believe you already know about your daughter's suicide, right? Chapter 765. You don't seem to like your daughter very much. Muchichi followed Mama Bai's emotions and asked, Can you tell me the specific reason? I raised her so much, but she wants to go back to her father. What do you think I should do with such an unfilial daughter? Mama Bai said hatefully. I've been paralyzed these days, and I just wanted her to come and take a look. She actually said she didn't have time, so I told her to die. Then do you know that she has already bought a train ticket? Muchichi continued to ask Mama Bai. How would I know that much about her? If she's dead, then so be it. I'll just treat it as if I've raised an ingrate. From Mama Bai's words, Muchichi could not tell that this woman had any feelings for her daughter. Muchichi and Old Ching looked at each other and did not say anything. Mama Bai began to chase them away impatiently. Are you done asking? If you're done, hurry up and leave. Don't disturb my rest. My daughter has just died. Do you have any sympathy? Old Ching and Muchichi looked at each other and decided to leave the ward first. Old Ching thought to himself that he might be able to get some useful clues from this woman. But in the end, it was another wasted trip. Chi-Chi, what do you think? I think there's a big problem with this woman. Moreover, she's full of lies, Muchichi said as she leaned against the wall outside the ward. Ha! I don't know if senior brother Ching noticed the necklace on Mama Bai's neck. Muchichi reminded senior brother Ching to recall. I think it's just an ordinary silver accessory. There's nothing special about it. Muchichi shook her head and smiled at him. That's not a silver accessory. That's a Perkin necklace. Moreover, it's a product of Huang Yao. It's a minimalist series of Huang Yao. I've planned events for Huang Yao before. I've seen it before. Are you sure? What if it's an imitation? Old Ching held his chin in confusion and said, How would a Philistine woman like her know about Huang Yao's jewelry? All in all, I think we still need time to investigate this woman, so senior brother Ching might not be able to go back today. Muchichi said to Old Ching. Su Che heard what she said, and promptly sent a message to Xing Xiao. Then let's find a hotel nearby to stay. In the evening, we'll visit Mother Bai's neighbors. A moment later, Muchichi called Tang Yen to tell them about the progress of the investigation and mentioned the platinum necklace. Tang Yan immediately realized that there was a receipt in Bai Sini's drawer. It was worth 360,000 yuan. I'll send Xiaolong to Huang Yao to retrieve the surveillance footage from that day. Why did Bai Sini buy such an expensive necklace? Why did that necklace end up with Mother Bai? It was a few days before Bai Sini committed suicide. Mother Bai said that she hadn't seen Bai Sini for a long time, so how did the necklace get into her hands? With many questions, Mu Chi-Chi and Old Ching arrived at the place where Mama Bai lived and began to visit the neighbors. However, because Mother Bai was mean to her neighbors on weekdays, no one was willing to interact with her at all. Only the old man downstairs knows a little about her. This woman, when she was not sick, she often went out on Saturdays and came back on Sundays. I don't know what she was doing. I met her several times, and every time she came back, she smelled of alcohol. She's mean and has no relatives or friends. She only has a daughter. In the past, she often beat and scolded her. By the way, when I came back once, I saw a luxury car sent to her and her daughter. Sir, how long ago was that? Mu Chi-Chi asked as she recorded. Not long ago, more than half a month ago, the old man recalled. It was a black car. From afar, it looked very beautiful. From this, it could be seen that Mama Bai's mouth was full of lies. No, it should be said that she didn't say much and deliberately avoided it. Alright, it's getting late. Let's find a place to rest for the night and see what Captain Tang will do. Senior brother Ching looked at his watch and turned to look around. Why don't we stay nearby? I've already arranged accommodation for you just now, Su Che, who had not spoken for a long time, suddenly said. The two of them were stunned for a moment and nodded. That's good too. Then, the three of them went to eat some J-City's specialties. Because Mu Chi-Chi still wanted to go back to her room to sort out her doubts, after eating, the two of them went to the hotel under Su Che's lead. You rich people really know how to find a place. You can even find a 5-star hotel in a small place like J-City. Chi-Chi, I'm really basking in your glory. Senior brother Ching could not help but smile when he saw the door of the hotel. You're welcome. It was just that the two of them were arranged on different floors, which made senior brother Ching feel inconvenient. However, because Su Che said that there were no rooms, old Ching did not dare to complain. Call me if there's anything. Okay. Mu Chi-Chi nodded. Soon, Su Che sent Mu Chi-Chi to the door and swiped his card to open the door for her. Mu Chi-Chi was very sleepy after running for the whole day. However, after pushing the door open, she blinked and was stunned. Xiao Xiao. Xing Xiao was sitting in front of his desk and had just finished a video call. When he saw Mu Chi-Chi return to her room, he leaned against her and winked at her. Why are you here? Mu Chi-Chi woke up from her nap and jumped onto Xing Xiao excitedly. You didn't come home last night, so I could only warm your bed. Xing Xiao hugged her and fell into a deep sense of satisfaction. J-City is a little colder than Jianchuan. It's remote and the security is chaotic. If I don't come, what if someone breaks into your room at night? You just said that you missed me. Why are you still finding so many excuses for yourself? Mu Chi-Chi glanced at him disdainfully. Are you going back tomorrow morning? Up to you. Xing Xiao replied coldly. Then I have to hurry up and figure out the situation here. Mu Chi-Chi got down from Xing Xiao's body and began to take out a pen and paper to organize her thoughts. According to her previous deduction, Mama Bai had lied. The neighbor said that half a month ago, he saw someone send Mama Bai and Bai Sini home. However, Tang Yan said that the necklace was bought 2 days before Bai Sini committed suicide. However, the necklace was now in Mama Bai's hands. In other words, the last time the mother and daughter met was within 10 days. The old man said that Mama Bai went out every weekend. Once, she even brought her daughter along and even sent her off in a luxury car. In other words, Mama Bai brought her daughter to meet someone of high status. After sorting out the information, Mu Chichi began to call Tang Yen. After Tang Yen heard the information that Mu Chichi had sorted out, he felt that the most important thing now was to figure out who Mama Bai went to meet every week. Especially when she brought Bai Sini to meet someone. Chapter 766. I'll try my best. In fact, the few of them already had some guesses in their hearts, but they needed to be confirmed now. Is CEO Xing by your side? Tang Yan paused for a few seconds and suddenly asked. How did you know? Mu Chichi was surprised. Did this person have clairvoyance? You used his phone to make the call. After saying that, Tang Yan hung up. At first, he was worried about Mu Chichi's safety, but now that Xing Xiao was there to guard her, there was no problem at all. Although he did not approve of his subordinates being overprotected at all, in the same situation, if Feng Shanshan were to go out, he might not be able to sit still. Mu Chichi put down her phone and took a closer look. She immediately understood. She was the one who had been immersed in the case and was stupid. Why didn't you remind me? What's the difference between yours and mine? Xing Xiao packed up the documents and drew the curtains of the hotel room. Wash up. Aren't you going to wake up early tomorrow? Captain Tang asked senior brother Qing and me to find out who Mama Bai went to see over the weekend. I need to sort out what I need to do tomorrow. Let me think about it, Mu Chichi said seriously as she sat on the sofa with a frown. First, get Mama Bai's call records and log onto the people who talked to her over the weekend. Check them one by one, and then confirm her identity with the people in the communications department. Second, get the surveillance cameras around the Bai family and see if you can find anything. Mu Chichi thought that with the evidence, she would confront Mama Bai. Then, the answer would be revealed. Mu Chichi had a hunch that as long as the answer was revealed, the truth of Bai Sini's suicide would not be far away. Xing Xiao supported himself with his arm and looked at Mu Chichi. Just as Tang Yan had said, this little one was becoming more and more like a criminal police officer. When she was busy, she looked serious and cautious, which made her even more charming. Mu Chichi put away the note and looked up at Xing Xiao. When she realized that he was staring at her, she blushed. Is there something on my face? Xing Xiao stretched out his long arm and pulled her up, letting her sit between his legs. In the future, should I call you Forensic Dr. Mu or Officer Mu? What do you like me to do? Mu Chichi leaned into Xing Xiao's arms and asked, do you like me to hold a gun or a knife? When Xing Xiao heard that, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. There was a hint of devilish charm in his eyes. Of course I like you, holding a gun. The last two words had a deeper meaning. Mu Chichi understood it immediately and punched him in the chest. You're really, since everything is done, let's take a bath and rest. Xing Xiao knew that she was very tired today, so he did not hug her affectionately like he did at home. He only took her to take a shower and lay on the bed. Lying in his warm embrace, Mu Chichi fell asleep. However, Xing Xiao could not fall asleep no matter how hard he tried. This was not Jianchuan, nor was it a home with a complete security system. Even with Su Che next door, Xing Xiao did not fall into a deep sleep. Midnight, there was a strong wind outside the window, and a strange sound came from outside the hotel. Xing Xiao immediately opened his eyes. Then, he let go of Mu Chichi, got up and called Su Che. Su Che walked out from the room next door and saw a black figure disappearing at the end of the corridor. Su Che chased after it, but it soon disappeared into the hotel garden without a trace. A few minutes later, Su Che came back and checked the door of Xing Zhao's room. He found that the door lock had been tampered with. CEO, it's very professional. If I wasn't here, the consequences would be unimaginable. Let's change rooms. Xing Zhao carried Mu Qiqi from the bed and went straight into Su Che's room. When everything was quiet again, Xing Zhao lay on the bed and thought about it. Sometimes, he really did not know whether it was right or wrong to agree to Mu Qiqi's help. Because this was clearly a case that should not be dug into. He was afraid that the more Mu Qiqi and the others investigated, the greater the danger would be. Seeing that the thing in his arms was sleeping like a child, Xing Zhao lowered his head and kissed her forehead. Do you know what kind of person you're dealing with? A vicious criminal. Not all criminals are helpless. Do you know what it means to fight with wits and courage? It was not that Mu Qiqi did not know. It was just that when Xing Zhao was beside her, she let down all her guard. If she was sleeping alone, she would be much more vigilant. For example, she would put a cup on the doorknob and search for cameras in the room. It was only because her man was beside her that she dared to be so reckless. The next day, when Mu Qiqi woke up, Xing Zhao had already gotten up. Seeing that he had tidied up neatly, Mu Qiqi quickly got out of bed. Why didn't you wake me up? Xing Zhao did not mention anything about what happened last night. He just grabbed her arm and said, I'll be your driver today. Must it be like this? Xing Zhao nodded. I'm here to take you home. Well, senior brother Qing would laugh at her for being a child who had not weaned off her mother's milk again. In fact, only she knew how vicious Xing Zhao's eyes were and how meticulous his heart was. If this goes on, no one in the family will earn money because I've captured you to investigate the case. Don't be heartless. After investigating this case, go back to school in peace. For some reason, Mu Qiqi felt that Xing Zhao seemed to know something. However, once he planned to hide it from her, he would not say anything. Soon, they gathered at the door. After Mu Qiqi and Old Qing discussed, the two of them prepared to retrieve Mama Bai's call records and begin to investigate the suspects. Actually, the workload was not that big. After all, Mama Bai only contacted people on weekends, and it was a fixed number. There shouldn't be many. Sure enough, after the two of them scanned Mama Bai's call records, they locked onto two numbers and quickly found the owners of these two numbers. One was called Zhou Qin, and the other was Su Hong. Now, as long as we verify the identities of these two people, everything will be easy. But was it really as simple as Old Qing said? Qiqi, rest for a while. I'll call Captain Tang and see what he says. Old Qing took out his phone. He couldn't hide his excitement because this seemed to be one step closer to the truth. Mu Qiqi nodded. She was drenched in sweat from running and returned to the car to rest. However, just as Old Qing was making the call, a motorcycle suddenly appeared from around the corner and crashed into Old Qing. Old Qing was caught off guard and was slammed into the wall. Mu Qiqi sat in the car and saw everything clearly. Xing Zhao immediately turned his head and saw that Su Che had already gotten out of the car and was running away. The other party sensed that Su Che's skills were extraordinary. He turned around and sped away without any hesitation. Mu Qiqi quickly got out of the car to check on Su Che's injuries. Old Qing, how are you? Chapter 767. Send him to the hospital immediately. Su Che chased after him, so Xing Zhao went forward to help him up. He said to Mu Qiqi, "You're a medical student. You should know where he was hit. See if you can deal with it first." Mu Qiqi saw blood seeping out of the corner of Old Chang's mouth and immediately did not dare to touch him. No, there's organ damage in his abdomen. We have to do an abdominal TC immediately. When he heard the words organ damage, Xing Xiao sped up. He did not even realize that his hands were trembling as he held the steering wheel. If old Cheng had not called Tang Yen, if it had been Mu Chichi, then the consequences, he could not think about it at all. These people are crazy. Mu Chichi took out her phone in a panic and called Tang Yen. This was the first time she had seen her colleague suffer such a serious injury. The other party wants to stop you from continuing the investigation. Come back to Jianchuan with me in the afternoon. Xiao. The current situation is not something you can control, Xing Xiao said coldly. You're a forensic doctor. Why are you in the field? Mu Chichi did not say anything. She just kept comforting old Qing. Soon, the two of them sent old Qing to the emergency room of a nearby hospital. After the hospital did a checkup, they immediately sent old Qing to the operating theater. Mu Chichi took the TC scan and took a look. She knew how serious old Cheng's injury was. Many organs in the abdominal cavity were damaged. Among them, the liver was ruptured and bleeding, and the stomach and kidneys were all injured to varying degrees. One could imagine how hard the collision was. An hour after old Qing entered the operating theater, Su Che arrived at the hospital. He shook his head at Xing Xiao. I didn't catch him. He's a professional. He's familiar with the terrain and has extraordinary skills. Xing Xiao did not say anything and looked at Mu Chichi. Mu Chichi sat on the chair. She did not know what to say. She just held Xing Xiao's hand. After following Tang Yen for so long, she had never encountered such a dangerous situation or come into contact with such a dangerous case. After old Cheng's surgery, I've already arranged for someone to send a plane over to transfer him back to Jianchuan. At the same time, you have to go back with me, Xing Xiao ordered Mu Chichi. I want to wait for Captain Tang to come over. Madam, last night, this person went to your room to cause trouble. However, the president was in the room at that time and he didn't succeed. So, you can't help anyone if you stay here. This group of people dared to openly attack the police, which means that there is someone behind them. You'd better listen to me and stop being stubborn, Su Che advised in a low voice. Mu Chichi remained silent for a long time. After a while, she sneered and said, I just think it's a little ironic. This is J City. A strong dragon can't suppress a local snake. Even if the CEO is here, he can't do anything. I understand. It seemed that he really needed to return to Jianchuan and discuss this matter with Tang Yen. When Tang Yen received the news, he immediately told Mu Chichi to retreat to Jianchuan. We can't continue investigating that place. A suicide case had just begun to take shape, and there were already people rushing out to stop the police from continuing to investigate. Wasn't that enough to explain the nature of this matter? Tang Yen immediately went to the chief's office and told him about old Cheng's serious injuries in J City. The chief sighed helplessly. Tang Yen, let's close this case as suicide. Chief. I know what you want to say, but we can't continue investigating now. The more you investigate, the more vigilant the other party will be. Instead of that, it's better to commit suicide and close the case. Then, we can investigate in secret. That way, the other party will relax and expose themselves. Do you think I don't want to give Baisini justice? Even if I'm the chief, there are some things I can't do. Let this matter go first. I promise you that I will definitely investigate thoroughly. When the time is right, I will give you an explanation. With the director's guarantee, Tang Yen nodded. He still abhorred evil, especially when the other party had seriously injured his subordinates. He wanted to barge into the tiger's den even more, but he was married and had a child. If things were still the same as 7 years ago, then what awaited him might be the destruction of his family. In the evening, old Qing was sent back to Jianchuan by a private plane. In his own territory, he would be protected. Mu Qiqi also followed Xingxiao back to Jianchuan. She had to give Tang Yan an explanation first. These are the results of old Qing and I've obtained for the past day and night. We found 2 suspicious people. Before we could do anything else, old Qing. Enough. You've worked hard. The chief has already asked for the case to be closed, Tang Yan said to Mu Qiqi. Don't take old Chang's matter to heart. As a police officer, you're full of meritorious deeds. It's just that you might scare your family members. Really? Do you want to close the case? Bai Sini died in vain. We all know, but we can't just run around like headless flies. We need to think about this matter in the long run. In short, don't worry about it. I've also promised CEO Xing that I won't lend you out to investigate cases while you're studying. After saying that, Tang Yan patted Mu Qiqi on the shoulder. Let's go back. Those women who were faked as suicides might just be victims. Mama Bai is the middleman. She didn't even let her own daughter off. This was a train of thought that Mu Qiqi had sorted out. Before she left, she felt that it was necessary to tell Tang Yan. Let's go back. Tang Yan nodded, expressing his approval of Mu Qiqi's deduction. In fact, they gradually understood what was going on, but there were some things that they couldn't confront head-on. Then, take good care of senior brother Qing. After saying this, Mu Qiqi left the city branch office because she believed that Tang Yan would definitely find the mastermind of this matter. He definitely would. Tang Yan and the chief's intention was to find an informant to get close to Su Hong and the man named Zhou Qin. But on the surface, the Jianchuan branch office had to pretend that this matter was over. Therefore, in the evening, the branch office announced that Bai Sini's suicide was established and the case was handed over. In any case, Tang Yan had a copy of everything that needed to be collected. This time, he had to cast a long line to catch a big fish. Seeing this result, Mu Qiqi once again felt that the living were scarier than the dead. Actually, when she thought about it seriously, she could understand why Xingxiao was so worried. If he hadn't come last night, then the person lying in the hospital now would be her. After thinking it through, Mu Qiqi quietly went to the study. Seeing that someone was busy, she silently hugged him from behind. I never knew that being a police officer would be so scary. But everyone knows, but there are still people who insist on it. Because everyone understands that someone has to do this. Chapter 768. Mu Qiqi did not say anything else. She let go of Xingxiao's hands and left the study silently. In the past, the reason why she chose to be a forensic doctor was very simple. It was because of the deaths of her grandmother and mommy. She wanted to redress the grievances of the dead. But now, she could clearly feel that Xingxiao was enduring it. He was tolerating her stepping on his bottom line again and again. After all, he did not want anything. He only wanted her to be safe by his side. Mu Qiqi felt uncomfortable, so she did not tell Xingxiao and walked to Tang Yan's house. She did not know if it was because Feng Shanshan was pregnant, but she seemed much gentler. When she saw Mu Qiqi, she knew that she was in a bad mood, so she said, "Did you encounter a multiple-choice question? Why are you, a student who is still in school, not as good as me, a person who has been expelled?" Mu Qiqi lowered her head. For a moment, she did not know what to say. You've always been a sharp-tongued person, but there are times when you can't say a word. Feng Shanshan poured her a glass of warm water and pursed her lips. I don't have any experience to give you. Don't count on it. I'd better change departments. After all, if I continue to be a forensic doctor, it will make him so unhappy. What about you? Feng Shanshan asked her in return. You don't want to be a forensic doctor anymore. Your hesitation tell me that you're only forcing yourself to give in. But I'm overestimating myself, Mu Chi-Chi said mockingly. Mu Chi-Chi laughed mockingly. My weakness will only bring him endless worry and trouble. Even when I'm on a business trip, I won't let him have a peace of mind. Maybe I'm still too young and arrogant. Feng Shanshan listened to Mu Chi-Chi's words, but she looked behind Mu Chi-Chi. Xing Xiao stood outside the door with his hands in his trouser pockets. He did not push open the iron door and enter. He only secretly listened to the conversation between the two. I can only say that your man dotes on you too much. He's also your first love, so he didn't let you suffer too much emotionally. He accommodates you in everything. You also think I'm not satisfied, right? Mu Chi-Chi smiled helplessly. But I'm a person too. I have my own thoughts and goals. If I give up, I'll gradually lose myself, won't I? I'm really not afraid of suffering, and I'm not afraid of tiredness. I can do whatever I want to do, but I don't know how to deal with it once I clash with Xiao Xiao. I'm useless and weak. I've been with him for so long, but I don't think I've done anything for him. I'm always causing trouble for him. I'm so frustrated. Feng Shanshan knew that Xing Xiao was at the door, so she deliberately lured Mu Chi-Chi to speak her mind. Why don't you find someone else? Are you kidding me? Even if I die, my flesh, my bones, and my soul belong to the Xing family. I won't leave him even if I die. Mu Chi-Chi glared at Feng Shanshan and snorted. Xing Xiao stood outside the door for a while and listened to their conversation. Earlier in the study, he knew that his answer had hurt the little one's heart. Since he couldn't find her at home, he thought that she might have come here. Why did he have to force her? It was just because he thought about what happened during the day and was anxious. So, he lost his patience with her. But his little one had always been like this. She had always been an independent person. She didn't rely on anyone. Just as she said, if she gradually lost her sense of self, she would be no different from the women outside. Self was a person's unique soul. After a while, Xing Xiao turned around and left. He didn't enter Tang Yan's house because he knew that she also had her dignity. As for changing departments, Mu Chi-Chi sat at Tang Yan's house for half an hour until Tang Yan returned home. Seeing the two of them being so sweet, Mu Chi-Chi couldn't stay any longer, so she got up and went home. When she entered the living room, Xing Xiao was already asleep. Was this man angry with her? Thinking of this, Mu Chi-Chi's heart skipped a beat. After taking a shower and returning to the bedroom, Mu Chi-Chi crawled under the blanket and lay beside Xing Xiao. If it were any other day, this man would have hugged her directly. But tonight, he didn't move at all. Mu Chi-Chi thought for a moment and pounced on him. If he was tired, she could also take the initiative to hug him. Xing Xiao hugged her and didn't say anything. His breathing was even and he seemed to be very sleepy. Mu Chi-Chi lay on Xing Xiao's body for a long time before saying, "Xiao Xiao, I'll change departments, okay? Go to sleep." Xing Xiao didn't say anything. He just said those two words indifferently. Mu Chi-Chi pouted. She felt wronged. "I've already given in, but you're still so cold." So, she simply let go of Xing Xiao and slept by the side. Tomorrow, she would go back to school and apply for a transfer. Late at night, Xing Kai received a call from Jin Bo by Cindy's case had been handled properly. He no longer needed to worry about the police. He only needed to comfort her family. Jin Bo was personally paying attention to Bai Cindy's case. What did this mean? Xing Kai had a rough idea. Now, as an innocent insider, he knew that he had been pulled into the abyss. From now on, he could only follow Jean Beau because he knew very well that even if he didn't do anything now, he was covering up for a crime. Godfather. Godfather, what exactly did Bicini and those employees die for? Didn't Bicini commit suicide? Jean Beau replied with a smile. Ah Kai, don't let your imagination run wild. Run Changrong well. Godfather thinks highly of you. Godfather, if you really trust me, tell me everything. I swear that I will always follow you loyally. Ah Kai, you're my godson. I won't harm you. It's getting late. Rest early. With that, Jean Beau hung up the phone. Xing Kai put down his phone. His hands were trembling because he knew that there was no turning back now. Gu Xiling saw that he was preoccupied, so she sat in front of the dressing table and sneered. I thought that I would really rise to prominence after acknowledging my godfather. Now that I think about it, I can't even compare to someone else's dog. Say that again. Gu Xiling shrugged. Of course, she wouldn't be an idiot. However, Xing Kai was really unreliable. If Grandpa didn't allow her to get a divorce, then she wouldn't. However, from now on, she would only live for herself. As for Xing Kai, he had ambition but no ability. Sooner or later, he would get himself into trouble. At that time, Grandpa would know that Xing Kai was incompetent and not because of her provocation. The next day, Mu Qiqi woke up early but found that Xing Xiao had left earlier than her. He seemed to have made up his mind to ignore her. Mu Qiqi was not discouraged. She packed her things and arrived at school on time. One of the things she was going to do today was to transfer to another faculty. Chapter 769. After arriving at the school, Mu Qiqi went straight to the dean and expressed her intention to transfer. However, this surprised the dean. Qiqi, you're only a student now, but you've accumulated a lot of experience in autopsies. You've also gained the trust of the branch office. Why do you suddenly want to transfer? Qiqi, have you thought about it? This is a great future. I have some personal reasons, Mu Qiqi answered awkwardly. Some things are more important than this. The dean sighed, thought for a moment, and said, wait, let me think about it. Shan Shan just didn't leave. If you leave too, what will happen to my forensics department? The two of you are the living signboards of the forensics department. Alright, then I'll go back to class first. Mu Qiqi did not force the dean to agree immediately. The dean stroked his chin with a puzzled expression. No matter how he looked at it, Mu Qiqi did not look like someone who would give up halfway. Why did she suddenly want to transfer? The dean thought about it and decided to try contacting Zhongting. He felt that Mu Qiqi was like a child who had not grown up yet. All her rights were in Xing Zhao's hands. The secretary received a call from Mu Qiqi and transferred it to Xing Zhao's office. CEO Xing, sorry to disturb you. I'm Qiqi's dean. Has she encountered some difficulties recently? Why would she want to transfer? Do you know about this? Xing Xiao leaned against his office chair. Of course, he knew why. He had been angry with that thing last night. He did not expect her to really ask the school about it. Forget it, I don't know. I also want to know why she wants to transfer, Xing Xiao replied calmly. How about this? I'll come over with my secretary in the afternoon. We'll talk face to face then. The dean did not expect to meet an outstanding alumnus. Of course, that was exactly what he wanted. See you in the afternoon. The dean could not hide his excitement. It turned out that Mu Qiqi did not discuss this with her family. He did not know why she was throwing a tantrum. This was really not in line with her usual personality. However, if Xing Xiao were to appear, he felt that he could keep her. After lunch, Mu Qiqi was taking a lunch break in the library. The dean sent someone to find her and asked her to go to the office immediately. Mu Qiqi thought that the dean had probably found a way to convince her and wanted to give it a try. Mu Qiqi closed the pathology textbook and walked quickly to the dean's office. However, when she stopped at the door, she heard a familiar voice. Mu Qiqi knocked on the door and entered. Sure enough, she saw a man in a suit and leather shoes. He had the aura of a king wherever he went. His expression was serious, and the way he looked at her was filled with doubt. Qiqi, don't blame me for inviting CEO Xing over. Tell me, why didn't you discuss something as important as transferring to another faculty with your family? No room for negotiation. She had told a certain man last night, okay? Xing Xiao did not say anything. He just drank the good tea that the dean had brought out with a faint smile. If it's possible, I hope that you can tell me why you want to change departments. In front of CEO Xing, we all want to hear the reason. That man clearly knew the reason, yet he still deliberately tormented her. Was he that angry? Tell me. I want to hear it too. Xing Xiao slowly put down the teacup and looked at Mu Qiqi. Mu Qiqi took a deep breath and answered seriously, it's too dangerous. I'm afraid of death. That's it. The dean was stunned. He thought that Mu Qiqi was going to say something long, but he didn't expect her to only say 7 words. Qiqi, aren't you being too hasty? You're also a forensic assistant. The danger of being a forensic doctor isn't high. The dean was very puzzled and looked at Xing Xiao inquiringly. CEO Xing, what do you think? I think so too. The danger of being a forensic doctor isn't bad. So, there's no need to talk about transferring departments. Xing Xiao made the final decision. The dean's face immediately beamed like a flower. However, Mu Qiqi looked at Xing Xiao and suddenly did not understand him. Dean, can you give me 2 minutes to talk to CEO Xing alone? Mu Qiqi turned to the dean and asked in a very sincere tone. The dean thought for a few seconds and nodded. I'll go out for a breather. When Mu Qiqi saw that he had left, she glared at Xing Xiao. Master Xiao, I suddenly don't understand you. You're the one who said it's too dangerous, and you're the one who didn't let me transfer departments. Xing Xiao took the opportunity to hook his arm around her neck and pull her closer. When did I agree to you transfer departments? Last night. But you know that I'll feel sorry for you. It's your business if you feel sorry for me. It's my business if I don't agree. The forensic doctor is doing well. There's no need to transfer. Xing Xiao let go of her neck to prevent the people outside the window from peeping. But I'll still be in danger. I won't let a little thing sacrifice herself for me. Xing Xiao leaned against the sofa and stood up. Then why were you angry in the morning? You even lost your temper and ignored me and left. Xing Xiao thought for a moment and tilted his head to look at her. I left a note for the morning meeting. You're deliberately making me anxious. Mu Qiqi was sure that this man knew how to play tricks. Yes, so what? Xing Xiao slowly curled his lips, confident and proud. Don't let your dean worry if it's nothing. It's not good to scare someone into a heart attack, although I, Xing Xiao, don't lack this bit of compensation. Mu Qiqi really wanted to bite him hard. He had made her suffer all night and worry about him. In the end, she had been taught a lesson by him. Especially after the dean came back in, Xing Xiao's words were really asking for a beating. Maybe she wants to pretend to be mature, so Qiqi has more ideas. I hope you can help me restrain and discipline her so that I don't have to worry. The dean knew what kind of role Xing Xiao had in Muqiqi's eyes, so he nodded. Of course. Don't worry, CEO Xing. As long as she did not leave, everything was fine. Muqiqi rolled her eyes. However, even though she had been fooled by this man, she was still happy because he still understood her. He understood that she did not want to give up her career, even if she knew how dangerous it was to be a forensic doctor. A moment later, Xing Xiao left Xingting. The dean turned around and taught Muqiqi a lesson. Chi-Chi, it's not that I'm scolding you, but look at how good CEO Xing is to you. He has so many things to deal with every day, but he still took the time to meet me for your matter. Don't not know how lucky you are. Heh, men. Muqiqi returned to the classroom and continued her lessons. However, it was precisely because she did not succeed in changing departments that she always felt that she owed by Cine. She felt terrible that she could not find the murderer. Chapter 770. Tang Yan found a reliable informant to get close to Zhou Qin and Su Hong. There would be news in a few days. Of course, Bai Cine could not die in vain. Also, her crazy mother was extremely cunning. She must have a lot of things in her stomach that she did not spit out to the police. However, after being a police officer for so many years, the thing he had learned the best was to be patient and wait for the big fish to take the bait. Muqiqi kept her forensics major. The first thing she did when she returned home was to settle the score with a certain someone. Was he teasing her? She had been upset the whole night yesterday. However, after entering the door, Muqiqi realized that Xing Xiao was taking a shower in the bathroom and did not close the door. Muqiqi immediately had the urge to peek. In the bathroom, Xing Xiao was lying in the bathtub to take a nap. Just his exposed chest muscles was enough to make Muqiqi's nose bleed. It had been so many years, why was he still so monstrous? If you want to see, then do it openly, Xing Xiao said to Muqiqi behind the door with his eyes closed. After such a long time, how could he not know that there was a burning gaze behind him? You were so angry yesterday. Why didn't you let me transfer? Muqiqi leaned against the door frame and asked Xing Xiao. It wasn't easy for me to make up my mind. That's not called making up your mind. Xing Xiao snorted softly as he lay in the water. If you really made up your mind, you wouldn't have gone to Feng Shanshan to complain. She told you that. Muqiqi thought about it carefully and felt that it was impossible. Feng Shanshan was not a talkative person. Then this man must have heard it himself. No wonder she said that this man would not go out to look for her. I don't like you taking risks and can't tolerate you being in danger, but I'm not so dictatorial that I want to deprive you of your ideals. In the future, I will still be angry where I should be, but you don't have to transfer because of this. After Muqiqi heard this, she walked to the bathtub and squatted at the edge. I want to transfer not only because of you, but also because of something else. There are many cases in the world that can't be solved. If you face them with such a mentality, then it'll be a waste of Tang Yan and the others' efforts. Xing Xiao suddenly stood up and splashed water all over Muqiqi. Last night, I dreamed of Bai Cine. She stood in front of me covered in blood and begged me to avenge her. Hearing that, Xing Xiao wrapped a towel around himself and pinched Muqiqi's cheek. Don't think too highly of yourself. You are only important when you are with me. Even if Bai Cine wants to appear in a dream, she would look for Tang Yan. Why would she look for you? Muqiqi nodded and agreed with Xing Xiao. She felt much better now. Then, she followed him out of the bathroom. When she saw him sitting on the edge of the bed, she sat on his lap. Xing Xiao looked at her, and she put her arm around his shoulders. What? You can't sit. I haven't hugged you for one night, and you're already impatient. Xing Xiao took off her school bag and put it aside. Then, he let her sit on his lap. If you need anything in the future, just tell me. Don't look for outsiders, okay? Yeah. Mu Qiqi nodded. After being taught a lesson by Xing Xiao, Mu Qiqi stayed at home to read and watch TV. This was because she did not need to investigate the case now, nor did she need to work overtime. However, just as she was watching the news in boredom, she saw that Xing Bowen was trending. According to the news report, Xing Bowen's car had hit a little girl who had fallen to the ground at a certain intersection, but he immediately drove away. The little girl was sent to the hospital with the help of a passerby. At present, the little girl's mother had already called the police. According to the surveillance footage, the car that ran over the little girl was a blue Lamborghini. It belongs to Xing Bowen, the current person in charge of the well-known company, Huang Yao. Huang Yao has yet to respond to this, and the police are also conducting further investigations into the case. After Mu Qiqi finished reading, she immediately looked at Xing Xiao, who was flipping through the information at the side. Do you already know? Isn't it third brother? It's his car, but I don't know who's driving it, Xing Xiao replied. Hurry up and call him. Mu Qiqi took out her phone and wanted to dial Xing Bowen's number. However, after thinking about it carefully, she felt that it was not appropriate, so she called Ren Yufei. On the other end of the line, Ren Yufei was sobbing. Third sister-in-law, what's going on? I just saw the news. At that time, your third brother and I were on our way home. Because there was another car on the right, we were in a blind spot. We didn't notice that there was someone under the car and thought that it was just running over a rock. We only found out after the fact that a child was involved under the car. Your third brother has already gone to the hospital. It's not what the media reported. We are all very concerned and worried about the child's safety. Since that's the case, let the police investigate it carefully. Mu Qiqi comforted Ren Yufei. I also hope that the child's life is not in danger, but why did the child fall to the ground when crossing the road? Where's the guardian? The police are checking the surveillance footage now. Don't panic. The child will definitely be fine. Yes, your third brother won't let me go to the hospital with him at all. Of course, if she went, she would inevitably be scolded by the child's guardian or even treated even more extreme. How could Xing Bowen bear to do that? If there's any new news or if you need help, you must remember to call us. Mu Qiqi reminded Ren Yufei. Those two were kind little sheep. They did not know when they had been devoured by a ferocious beast. Okay. Because she still had things to deal with, Ren Yufei hung up the phone. After Mu Qiqi put down her phone, she could not help but sigh. Her greatest hope was that the child would be fine. However, Xing Bowen was probably going to suffer a little. In the hospital, Xing Bowen had already brought a professional lawyer and an insurance company commissioner to the child's parents. When the child's mother saw Xing Bowen, she broke down and shouted, "If anything happens to my daughter because of you, I'll definitely make you die with her. You're the hit-and-run driver. I'll sue you until you go bankrupt." The girl's father pointed at Xing Bowen and said angrily, "You didn't even let the child go. You're heartless." Xing Bowen listened to the two of them scolding him silently, then bowed solemnly and apologized. "I really didn't mean to run over the child. I really hope that the child can be safe. For this, I can pay any price. I didn't hit and run. I really didn't know that I actually hit a child. Stop being so hypocritical. You hit someone and then ran. If you're not running away, what are you? I think if it weren't for the fact that you're the president of a big company, you would have long disappeared without a trace." The child's parents were obviously very reluctant to see Xing Bowen now. Chapter 771. Xing Bowen did not leave the hospital because he was concerned about the child's safety. CEO Xing, why don't you go back first? Shall we negotiate with the child's parents here? The lawyer suggested to him. The most important reason was that the lawyer felt that Xing Bowen was too kind. Instead, it would give those people with ulterior motives an opportunity to take advantage of him. This was indeed compensation, but it was not without a bottom line. I'll wait outside. When I'm sure the child is fine, I'll go to the police station, Xing Bowen answered the lawyer. Okay. After the discussion, Xing Bowen was about to turn around. However, the hospital nurse suddenly walked in front of Xing Bowen and said to him, "You're the person in charge of this traffic accident, right?" "I am. Let me tell you a few things in secret. Don't be deceived by that couple. First of all, this child has leukemia and is already very sick. Secondly, they are not the child's parents at all. They are the child's uncle and aunt. When the child was hospitalized, they rarely appeared. I reckon that these two people want to extort a lot of money from you." The nurse held the tray and kindly reminded Xing Bowen of something. "Thank you." Xing Bowen nodded and accepted the other party's kindness. In short, you be careful. No matter what the couple looked like, the child was always innocent. Moreover, as the person in charge of a famous company, no matter how he dealt with this matter, the outside world would find all kinds of excuses to abuse him. However, that was not important now. What was important was the child's life. 2 hours later, the child's surgery was over. The doctor walked out of the operating theater and told everyone who was waiting outside the operating theater. "The child is fine. The injury is not as serious as you think. Take good care of him." Hearing this, everyone in Xing Bowen's team heaved a sigh of relief. After all, it was a little life. On the other hand, the person who claimed to be the child's parents seemed a little disappointed. Even if the child is fine, that man can forget about escaping the punishment of the law. The child's mother said fiercely. "The hit and run won't be over so easily." The other party was the victim and the weaker party, so he was naturally protected by public opinion. Naturally, the police will deal with that matter. But now, I have been entrusted by my client to be responsible for the child's health. As the child's parents, you should also think about the child's health. I hate the faces of rich people like you the most. You think that everything can be settled with money. Let me tell you, I don't want his money. I want him to pay the price." The child's father shouted sternly. The lawyer had no choice but to go out and tell Xing Bowen the parents' thoughts. If this matter is not handled properly, it will have a huge negative impact on Huang Yao. It's good that the child is healthy. Leave the rest to the public relations department. Xing Bowen turned around and said to the lawyer, "Go to the police station now." "Chief Xing, I suggest that you call Miss Mu about this," the lawyer said to Xing Bowen. "About this, Xing, he did not about it." So, he followed the lawyer's advice and called Mu Chi. "Shao." "About the child." "Sheng." The li t about is family. About t about s shout. "The child is fine, but I have a few questions here. I want to use your innate brother's terrifying analytical senses to help me see the essence of this matter. Tell me." Mu Chi was suddenly interested. "Just now at the hospital, the nurse told me that this child has congenital leukemia and has been staying in the hospital. The couple that took her out were not her biological parents, but her uncle and aunt. The nurse told me that the two of them were probably here to extort money. Normally, they don't come to the hospital to look after the child, but after the child's accident, the two of them jumped out of thin air. Afterwards, our team communicated with the couple. They were adamant that they wanted to sue me. They weren't here for the negotiation or money. So, I felt very conflicted. So, I really want to know if this is a coincidence or if someone is behind this. He had been subtly influenced by Xing Xiao and Mu Qiqi. So, Xing Bowen would use his brain to think about it now. Now that the outside world has made you look like a heinous criminal, it has a huge impact on Huang Yao. I think this is why the couple didn't want to communicate. Mu Qiqi thought for a moment and said to Xing Bowen, "There are indeed many suspicious points in this matter. First of all, we have to figure out who the little girl's biological parents are and why the child is being raised by her uncle and aunt. Secondly, since the child is sick and hospitalized, why did they take her out at night and let her cross the road by herself? In any case, you just continue to pretend to be a naive and innocent person and investigate this matter in secret until the truth comes to light." "I have the same idea. I'll go to the police station to make a statement now." Xing Bowen rubbed his forehead and answered Mu Qiqi, "I just hope that this matter has nothing to do with that person. Whether it's related or not, we'll know after investigating. However, even if we find out the truth in the end, the damage to your reputation will definitely be irreparable. After all, the child was injured because of me. I'm mentally prepared." After hanging up, Mu Qiqi still felt that something was wrong, so she called Tang Yan. She wanted to know if she could get the traffic police in charge to handle the matter impartially through him. She wasn't asking for any special treatment. She just wanted justice. If this matter was really related to Xingkai, then the other party's hand would be as long as it was in J City. He definitely couldn't be underestimated. If possible, she also wanted to see what the surveillance footage was like at that time. Xing Xiao silently listened to the conversation between the two of them. He thought to himself that this little one probably wanted to interfere in third brother's matters again. Actually, she couldn't be blamed. From Baisini's case to Xing Bowen's current case, there must be a connection between them. After all, Xing Kai was the current person in charge of Changrong Electronics. In addition, Mu Qiqi had always been protective of her own people. Therefore, Xing Xiao patted Mu Qiqi's head and said as if admitting defeat, "Since you want to interfere, then go ahead and investigate." Previously, she had a tacit understanding with Xing Bowen. One was playing dumb in the open, while the other was secretly investigating the case. It was actually not a bad idea. Third brother and third sister-in-law aren't good at arguing. If they encounter such an unreasonable person, they won't be able to deal with it. Moreover, I really want to know if this matter has anything to do with Xingkai. There's no need to explain. After Mu Qiqi heard this, she jumped onto Xing Xiao and hugged his waist. "I knew it. You're the best." In fact, this ring was Jean Bo's so-called gift to Xingkai. Chapter 772. Huang Yao's stock fell, and the morale of the board of directors was unstable. After such a big incident, no one knew if Xing Bowen could continue to lead Huang Yao safely. Therefore, after the incident, the board of directors called old Master Xing and asked if the Xing family could introduce a new successor so that they could make plans early. The matter has not been decided yet. Are you all so impatient? Bowen has led Huang Yao for so long, and he has never disappointed you, has he? I believe in my grandson. He will definitely be able to handle the matter well, so you don't have to be so anxious. After all, eighth brother is still here. When the other party heard Xing Zhao's name, they did not say anything else. According to Zhongting's current development, even if there were 10 Huang Yaos, Xing Xiao would still be able to suppress them. Seeing that the old man kept receiving calls, Ren Yufei felt very helpless. Grandpa, I'm really useless. I can't help at all. How can you be blamed for this? The old man waved his hand. Yufei, don't be anxious. Ever since third brother married you, he has become much more stable. I believe he can handle it. I hope so. Grandpa, it's getting late. You should go in and rest. I'll wait for him. I can't sleep if he doesn't come back. Let's go together. The stock fell. His reputation was damaged. The old man did not feel any heartache at all. He cared more about his grandson now. Taking advantage of this time, the old man called Xing Xiao. Eighth brother, you know about third brother's matter, right? Yes, Xing Xiao said calmly. I don't ask for anything else. I just hope that you can protect your third brother's safety. You know him. He's kind. It's both a strength and a weakness. It was rare for the old man to call him for help because of third brother's matter. Xing Xiao smiled faintly and replied, You don't have to worry. Isn't it enough to have a busybody in the family? Old Master Xing understood Xing Xiao's hint. He knew that Mu Qiqi would intervene and was relieved. That's good. She was clearly just a little girl in her early 20s. Old Master Xing did not understand why he trusted her so much. But the truth was that this girl was really trustworthy. It was late at night, and Xing Bowen was still making statements at the police station. Mu Qiqi and Su Che rushed to the police station, and the traffic police were still asking Xing Bowen all kinds of questions. Right now, your situation is a little complicated. Whether or not it constitutes an escape, we still have to wait for the liability recognition letter. You'd better think of a way to prove that you really didn't know or didn't notice the accident at the time. Otherwise, you may face detention. This is to let you be mentally prepared. Now that there's nothing else, you can go. But Mu Qiqi wanted to see the surveillance footage. From the looks of it, he could only look for a nearby shop to see if there were any cameras that could capture this scene. Why are you here? Xing Bowen turned around and saw Mu Qiqi waiting at the door. He suddenly felt much more relaxed. I'm just worried about you. Of course, Mu Qiqi did not say the last two words. I have a general understanding of the situation. Now it's up to the traffic police to decide if you are a hit and run. I really don't know. I still need Yufei to make up the statement tomorrow. Xing Bowen shrugged. There are already people making a big deal out of your escape. How can you still laugh? Mu Qiqi walked in front and glared at him. Now we have two things to do. The first is to find a way to get the surveillance footage of the shops around the scene of the accident. The second is to immediately investigate the 18 generations of the couple's ancestors. You're becoming more and more like a police officer. You can continue being a silly and sweet person and think that everything in the world is perfect. Whether this matter has anything to do with Xing Kai or not, let him be proud of himself for now. Xing Bowen also had the same plan. He was prepared to show off his silly and sweet face to others in the future. However, just as they walked out of the police station, the hospital called. The little girl's life was in danger. When he left just now, the doctor had clearly said that the child was out of danger. How long had it been? If I were that couple, if I wanted you to compensate more, I might have to make you pay a greater price. I might have also taken a risk. After all, that's not their biological daughter and she's terminally ill. After hearing Mu Qiqi's words, Xing Bowen's expression was gloomy and scary. The conspiracy between adults should not involve children, especially such a pitiful child. When we get to the hospital later, don't say anything. Let me speak on your behalf. Okay. Xing Bowen calmed down and nodded. However, no matter what I say later, just watch. The other party will definitely cry and throw a tantrum because he's on the weaker side. He clearly doesn't really care about the child. The matter with Huang Yao had blown up. Xing Kai was naturally filled with excitement when he saw the full news report. It turned out that his godfather was not lying to him. He had really given him a huge gift. Old Master Xing had always cherished Huang Yao's reputation. Now that Xing Bowen had caused such a huge scandal, it would probably make him feel worse than killing him. Then, Jin Bo called Xing Kai. "Ah Kai, do you like such a gift?" "Of course I like it, godfather." "It's good that you like it. This is just the beginning." Jin Bo smiled. "What do you think about sending him to prison?" "Godfather, are you confident?" Jin Bo chuckled. After a long while, he slowly answered Xing Kai, "A hit and run. Of course, such a person has to be punished." "If that's really the case, I'll definitely follow Godfather's lead in the future. As long as you're happy." After saying that, Jin Bo hung up. If Xing Bowen could really go to prison because of this, it would be a heavy blow to both the Xing family and Huang Yao. Of course, he was happy to see it happen. However, he did not know how Jin Bo had set up such a trap. When Mu Chi-Chi and the others arrived at the hospital, it was already 11 o'clock at night. After another resuscitation, the little girl was sent to the ICU. The guardians seemed to have been waiting for Xing Bowen on purpose. Even though they looked extremely disheveled, they still wanted to see Xing Bowen to vent their anger. "It's all because of you. My daughter was almost separated from me by life and death. You murderer." Mu Chi-Chi glanced at her and stood in front of Xing Bowen and the agitated woman. She grabbed her waving hand and said, "You have deep feelings for your niece, don't you?" When the guardian heard Mu Chi-Chi's words, she was stunned for a moment before returning to her original fierceness. "So what? The child grew up without parents. She grew up with us. This is our child. Madam, you have to think carefully before you speak." Mu Chi-Chi shook off her wrist, took out her phone, and turned on the recording function. "You have to know that I've recorded everything you say now. I've never seen a perpetrator so arrogant. The reason I'm doing this is to remind you of what you said today. Otherwise, when the time comes, I'll be embarrassed for you." Chapter 773. Are you still human? My daughter is so seriously injured, and you're still bullying us victims. Lady, you probably don't know. I'm also a medical student and a forensic doctor. I'll find out why your daughter was resuscitated again after the doctor announced that she was out of danger. Mu Chi-Chi was too lazy to fight with the other party. She aimed for the heart of the other party and hit the nail on the head. Sure enough, the woman's expression changed when she heard this. "Don't try to mislead people. That's my daughter. I won't allow you to see her. What if you do something and harm my daughter?" The woman looked like she was going to put on an act until the end. "I heard that the child's parents are no longer around, and the child has leukemia. For a family like yours, this expense should be too much for you to bear, right? I think you'd rather the child leave without a trace. On the contrary, why would we harm the child? This won't do us any good. Lady." The woman did not expect this young girl to be able to see through their thoughts, so she became angry out of embarrassment. "I said, for the sake of justice, we don't want compensation. I just want that man to pay the price." "Really?" Mu Chi-Chi's expression became even more unfathomable. "Of course, you can pretend that you don't care about money in front of us because someone has already paid in secret, right?" The woman was stunned. Seeing this, Mu Chi-Chi continued to pursue the victory. "You don't have to be so panicked. The truth can't be fake, and the fake can't be real. We'll find out the truth after we investigate it. I know what you're thinking, but I can tell you very clearly that don't think you can get away with it. Even if the Xing family is implicated because of this, I want you to know that if the Xing family bears with it, I want you to bear with it. If the Xing family bears with it, you have to bear with it. If the Xing family bears with it, you have to bear with it. If the Xing family bears with it, you have to bear with it. If the Xing family bears with it, you have to bear with it. Facing such a strong Muchichi, the woman was speechless. Because no one told her that this girl was actually so powerful. Third brother, go and see the child. I'll go and find the child's attending doctor and ask him why the child needs to be resuscitated a second time. Of course, Muchichi's words were meant for her so-called aunt to hear. It was because killing this girl would bring her too many benefits. Xingbo nodded and led Su Che to the entrance of the child's intensive care unit under the guidance of the nurse. Xingbo looked at the little girl through the glass. He really couldn't bear to see her. Her thin and weak body had to endure so much suffering. He was also one of the culprits. If this child can really get through this safely, I will definitely find a way to cure her illness and sponsor her to go to school. Standing behind Xingbo, Su Che could feel how rich Xingbo's emotions were. That was the biggest difference between him and Xing Xiao. Meanwhile, Muchichi found the little girl's attending doctor. It's because of the adverse reaction of anesthesia, which caused the child's cardiac arrest. We have informed the child's family about this part, and they have signed in advance, the attending doctor explained. The child's anesthesia is monitored by a professional anesthesiologist. The measurement and other aspects are strictly controlled. Nowadays, there are very few accidents in the clinic. What's more, after the child left the operating table, the anesthesia period is almost over. I don't believe this is an accident. The doctor looked at Muchichi and frowned. Do you have any questions about my profession? Doctor, that's not what I mean. Of course, I believe in your profession, but I don't believe in that couple. Muchichi told the doctor bluntly, your nurse has already told me that this couple is not the child's biological parents. Moreover, the child has long been seriously ill. If they don't want to continue to bear this burden, and now that they can blackmail a big company, it's not impossible for them to choose to take the risk. When that time comes, will the hospital be responsible if there is a medical accident? After hearing this, the doctor's expression softened and he took a deep breath. This is the patient's family matter. As doctors, we have no right to interfere. Moreover, you are the wrong party, so what you say is even more untrustworthy. Excessive use of anesthetic drugs will cause the heart rhythm to be out of balance and the blood concentration to be too high, which will lead to heart failure and sudden arrest. I believe that the hospital's anesthesiologists are professional enough, but what if someone knows medical knowledge and uses this to cause trouble? Are you also a medical student? The doctor looked at Muchichi in confusion and sized her up. Muchichi took a deep breath and paused for a second before she said, You open the living body to save the dying and help the injured. I open the dead body to seek justice and investigate the case. The doctor nodded. It was no wonder that there were so many doubts. I understand what you mean. If possible, I will arrange for a blood test and urine test for the child. I will also remind the nurse to pay attention to the child's safety. Are you satisfied with this? Doctor, I don't want to make things difficult for you, but this is a life. I don't want to hurt the innocent because of the adult's viciousness. You are a forensic doctor. You have seen more than us. Okay, we will do our best to protect the child. Whether it was a doctor or a forensic doctor, their purpose was actually the same. To serve life. The doctor could see that Muchichi really cared about the child, so his tone softened. If there is a result, I will ask the nurse to inform you. However, at this critical juncture, you still have to avoid arousing suspicion. Thank you, doctor. Muchichi did not believe that the second rescue was due to an adverse reaction caused by anesthesia. However, they could not find any evidence that the couple had harmed the child. A moment later, Muchichi left the doctor's office and met up with Xingboen outside. Have you seen the child? Yes, it's very fragile. Xingboen's psychological burden was very heavy. No matter what, the child had become like this because of him. He had to bear the main responsibility. What about you? How did it go? There's nothing suspicious at the moment. Of course there's nothing suspicious. Because from the beginning to the end, it was your Xing family who bullied others. The couple went forward and pointed at Muchichi. It's really amazing to be rich. However, Muchichi did not intend to pay attention to them. Since the child has been seen, let's go back. In fact, there were still many things they had to do that night. I believe that justice will not be late. You, a scumbag who hid and ran, will definitely have retribution. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.